nails. That hurt. I'm not expecting this live to be very long. I'm not expecting this live to have a lot of people in it. I'm just going live because I'm done with work and I'm fucking bored. And I'm hoping I will find a source for entertainment this evening. Oh, we got some new anime. Love of Kill. We can try that one. That looks interesting. Police in a Pod. Orient. Not interested in that. The guy who reincarnated as a fantasy knockout and another guy. I mean, check it out, I guess. And I already watched that one. So, new seasons of animes. Do I believe in God? I think that's pretty obvious. No, I do not believe in God. I have seen Inuyasha. I have watched all of Inuyasha. And your type is what's wrong with this country's morality issues today. Well, I would love for you to expound on that. How exactly is my lack of being convinced in a God have anything to do with the United States' moral issues? I'd really love to know. First off, morality and politics are two completely different things. We don't write laws based on morality because morality is fucking subjective. No, I do not believe in Satan. I do like Bleach. Bleach is a really good one. I heard a rumor they were going to bring the anime back, but I haven't seen anything on that. And mind you, I want to go back to that morality thing. If you think dictating policy from a political perspective should be done from the lens of any religious ideology, you are a goddamn tyrannical piece of shit. Just putting that out there. You play Kakarot yet? I don't know what that is. Kakarot is Dragon Ball Z, but I don't know what you mean by that question. Where do we go when we die? As far as I know, we don't go anywhere. We just die. Church and state are separated for a reason. Absolutely. What are your opinions on the Mansons? I don't care. Where do we go when we die? Nowhere. We die. That's it. Yes, I am taking guest requests. If people want to have discussions, we do have a guest request in right now, so let's get to that.
What's up, man?
How's it going, bro?
Chilling. So I saw your question. Well, not your question, but the thing in the back says you don't.
Yeah.
Basically, you don't believe in God. And then some tool bag said that means you don't have any morals. But how does your not believing in God affect your life, like for
Well,
you personally?
to be honest with you, I think I have a really bad echo. Do you have headphones?
Actually, hold on. Let me yeah, let me.
All right, we lost him. He's going to have to resend his guest request, and then we can go back to the discussion. Unfortunately, he disconnected. So as soon as he comes back, we will bring him back in. Believing in God equals having morals? No, that's absolutely not true. In the United States, 93% of prison inmates are Christians. So claiming a religion does not make you morally superior. All right, so we got D's back. We can talk to.
All right, sorry about that echo, man. I'm back.
No, it happens sometimes when people disconnect their headsets, they'll disconnect from the live.
Yeah.
So being an atheist, I think gives me a more solid framework for moral behavior, because instead of my morality being dictated to me through by an assertion of authority, my morality is something that I have to carefully consider. My behavior, my actions, understanding that I don't live in a vacuum and that what I do affects other people. And that when I wrong somebody, I need to do what I can to right that wrong. So I have to hold myself personally responsible for the things that I do and the things that I say.
I hear that.
I
That's
don't
like,
get to I don't get to pawn my responsibility off on like the immoral action of a vicarious redemption through a mythical character we can't prove exists.
I hear you. That's a new take for me. I've never heard I've never heard it put that way. So
Well,
basically, what you're saying is you
I can kind of
because
add to it. I can add to it a little bit to make it a little bit more clear.
go ahead.
Do you like being punched in the face?
Of course not.
No, I don't like being punched in the face. Right? So you and I can come together in a community and say, you know what? You don't like being punched in the face. I don't like being punched in the face. How about this? How about we just don't punch each other in the fucking face? We'll even make a law about it so that if somebody does punch somebody in the face, there is going to be a social consequence for it. Right?
Right.
That's morality. That's how morality works.
Right.
It is not asserted by an authority figure. It is just we socially signed a contract that said we're not going to punch each other in the fucking face.
Right. I mean, I do like your point though. Is instead of having a book or a set of guide laws that dictate to you how to behave, you actually have to think about it on your own.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's kind of
we
heavy.
already do it. We already do that as a society, right? So, like, the Bible is very binary in its way to address things, especially from a moral perspective. The Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill," but it doesn't go into detail. It doesn't deal with nuance with the law. There are different degrees of murder. There's crime of passion, there's premeditated, there's manslaughter, or there's self-defense. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of degrees or shades of murder within the law because intent matters.
Right.
It's not as simple as just murder. There's more to it than that.
Absolutely. I mean, just to be fair, I think a Christian or someone who's religious would argue that God knows your heart. So that's where the nuance comes in.
Well, the problem with that is, according to the Bible, murder is equal to two guys making love. It is equal. All sins are equal in the eyes of God.
Sure.
So murder is the same as wearing clothing of mixed fabrics. Murder is the same as any other sin in the Bible, no matter how arbitrary it is.
Sure.
So it's not a good principle for guiding a person's moral behavior.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I see with atheists and um, some of the disconnect between like the Christians, they think if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, that automatically means that you either have no morals or you feel exempt from being quote unquote good. But I actually, just through having these conversations, I find it's quite the opposite. It's atheists believe that they are able to be good without a God. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm good. I'm a good guy. I try very hard because some people make it difficult. I try very hard to be just a good guy. I'm very much a humanist. I'm very much, I don't like unnecessary violence. I'm a very peaceable, quiet person most of the time. Um, I try to mind my own business and stay out of other people's shit. I try to live a moral existence. I try to live a humanist existence.
Absolutely, absolutely. And man, honestly, I think that's the best you can hope for, whether you believe in God or not, as long as you're
Yeah,
trying to
and
treat, you know.
the reason I do these lives, though, and the reason that I am an outspoken atheist, the reason I am an atheist activist, is because Christians can't just keep it to themselves. They've got to cram it down everybody else's throat, and which is a huge contradiction considering we live in America and like our banner is freedom. Like that's the whole thing about being American. And yet, even though our banner is freedom, Christians make a massive effort to dictate who you can have sex with, who you can be married to, what you can and cannot do with your body, all kinds of stuff. They want to not let you watch porn. They want to take literally all of your rights and freedoms away, except for the rights and freedoms that they think fit their religious narrative.
Right, I hear you. But I think there's a bit of that going on both ways. I mean, I've definitely met
Well,
those
yes,
those atheists who are like, well, you can't prove that God is real, or it's just a fairy tale and all these things. And then when we start having that little bickering back and forth, that just creates more of a divide, right? You can't hear each other.
well, I mean, atheist isn't a worldview. It's just the position that a person is not convinced of a God. When somebody says they're an atheist, that doesn't tell you anything about their ethics, their morals, their political leanings. It doesn't tell you anything about them other than they are not convinced in a God of a God.
Sure.
I've met atheists that were racist and misogynistic. I've met atheists that are flat earthers, which is just asinine. But
Sure.
and I mean, even liberals kind of get it sideways sometimes. Some liberals, like I'm sure that if there are some liberals where if you walked up to them and tried to say a joke like a white dude, a Mexican, and a black guy are sitting at a bar, they will melt down and lose their shit and call you a racist.
Right.
But they're a fringe on the left. The greater whole of the left doesn't do that. Those extreme liberals, they are so far out of the mainstream, it's not even funny. And so, like, the vast majority of the left is pretty mellow. The right, on the other hand, even in the middle, they're extreme.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But yeah, man, I'm thanks for letting me on the live, man. I just
Hey,
came
man, no
to
problem.
hear your,
Anytime.
you know.
Anytime you
So,
want to hang out and chat and you see me live, you come in and throw up a guest request and we can have more conversations.
all right, man. Well, you take it easy, all right?
You too. Take it easy, brother. So we have another two guest requests here. Let's go with Emotep.
Yeah,
How
greetings to you, my brother.
how you doing?
I'm doing okay, and yourself?
I'm tired, but I'm all right.
I just wanted to contribute to, sorry, what you said about God.
Yes.
According to according to religious people, we are supposed to assess God if you are practicing Judaism through the Torah, and if you're a Christian through the Bible, and if you're a Muslim through Quran, right?
Yes.
So, so I was doing research and I got to know that the earliest version of the King James Bible, okay, written between 1604 to 1611,
Okay.
there was no Jesus in that Bible.
Right.
Even the father of Jesus was not spelled as Joseph, but L instead of J. Then Jesus was L too. And then when you take out the L, what you have is Jesus. You see? And now
Yes.
when you take Jesus to look it up, you look up also Serapis Christos. you are going to see the image of Serapis that is being propagated as the image of Jesus the Savior.
Okay.
So now it brings us to ask the question how God instructed man to live based on 66 books written by men who told the other men, and then they passed it to other men, and they continued like that. And then I went also to research. There is a Bible written around 1973 to 74 and 75. It was missionaries who had gone, Christian missionaries who had gone to meet the Penari Indians. So these Penaris, they were being told that they need to be saved. The people said, no, we are not lost. So why do you say we need to be saved? So the Christian missionaries now threaten them to telling them that they are going to burn in hell. You know, this is the fear mongering that they use in religion, all of them, about heaven and hell, where people will go when they do bad stuff. So now a woman ran out with her baby and said, no, we don't want to burn. What do we do? So they prayed for them and said, you are now saved. Then the next thing, they wrote a Bible called the Penari Indian Bible, which you can look up online if you want. So in this Penari Indian Bible, you are going to see that Judas was not the one who betrayed Jesus.
Yeah, no, actually, I recently just learned about a book, and I've been wanting to look it up and read it. It's actually the Book of Judas. It was one of the books that was considered for the Canaanite, but then was left out. And it describes God and Jesus in a very different light. And there's another one called the Book of Adam, which I also want to read. I haven't had a chance to yet.
Yeah. So this is the question: how and when did God read the Bible? And then when you go to research the New Testament, you're going to see the fingerprints of the Pisos, Calpurnius Pisos family. They wrote all these things. Created, you can look it up if you want, Calpurnius Piso, or you just say Piso family in New Testament. They created all the fictional characters there.
Well, and I've talked to a few biblical scholars, and according to what we understand, we don't know who wrote the New Testament. We don't have an understanding of the authorship. As far as we know, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were anonymous authors. We don't know who actually wrote them.
Yeah, I'm speaking from there's a historian, I've forgotten his name. He did a detailed work about this and brought to the conclusion that the Pisos, it was from generation to generation, they managed to, put things into perspective and then did what they call typology, following the earlier writings of other people from other books, putting it together, then manipulating the names and changing it also to make it look like this is a real story and all that. And in fact,
one of the more respected biblical scholars that I know of is Bart Ehrman. And you can look him up on YouTube, and he does have quite a few books out. He is he's a specific scholar on the historicity of Jesus Christ, and he recognizes that, again, the authorship from the Gospels is anonymous. We don't know who wrote the Gospels.
Okay.
We also don't have any original copies of the Gospels. We don't have any of the original texts. All we have available to us are copies of copies, which are largely mistranslated or translated incorrectly, or because they went from like Hebrew and Greek to they went through a few different languages, and even trying to translate those languages into English is not accurate. So it's a kind of a convoluted conversation.
Definitely. And I also got to know that the book of Matthew was actually the first. The Luke was the first. That it was at the Council of Antioch also that they switched
Antioch,
it.
Was it Council of Antioch or Council of Nicaea?
No, Nicaea is about the 325 AD, about the invention of Jesus and Mary as the mother, and then the Holy Trinity and all that stuff. But
Okay.
I'm talking about the switching of the first. Okay, for instance, the Exodus was the first book of the Bible previously. So at the Council of Jamia, they switched it because it wouldn't make sense, according to them, to have Exodus first, and then in the second book, you begin to talk about the creation of the world. So they had to switch it and put Exodus as second.
Right.
So, but Council of Nicaea was about creation of Mary, Jesus, and even there was a bishop, an African bishop known as Arius, who had asked Constantine that what you are doing is copy from Egypt and people are going to know. So he was exiled, and he died in exile something like 11 years later or so, And these are the things that when you bring to Christians, they don't want, or religious people perhaps, they don't want to listen. You come to Islam also, you see something, a similarity between the way Mary was met by an angel called Gabriel, and then Muhammad was met by an angel also called Jibril, which is the same Gabriel. Okay, and when you look at the whole scenario, even at some point there's a hadith where Aisha, the wife of Prophet Muhammad, said that the man was delusional and said things that he did not do and imagined that he did it.
Yeah.
So I believe if there is God, we can't find it through the religious point of view, because they all complicate each other. So heaven, according to them, if you practice Judaism, they don't believe in Jesus. And if you practice Christianity, they don't believe in Muhammad. If you practice Islam, they don't believe that Jesus is God. And now, if God comes and said that it's Muhammad people that he wants, it means the rest of the people will go to hell. And if he comes and says Judaism, the rest of them goes to hell. If he says Christianity and all that. So it really don't make sense. I think that the religion is a device for control. That's what I think.
I agree. I think religion is a device for control. I think it's a device for tribalism, to separate people.
Yes.
Because if you're separating groups of people, that means you're giving people, smaller groups of people, power.
Yes.
So I think when humanity invented gods, it was specifically to try to understand nature. We saw lightning, we heard thunder, we saw the waves crash, we saw volcanoes, and we tried to make sense of it. And so we labeled agency to these things in the form of gods that had human bodies. Eventually, I think what happened is somebody stood up and said, I speak for God. And the moment that happened, religion went from an effort to understand nature to a con to control people.
If talking about the concept of God, if you have knowledge about ancient Cable or Kemet or Egypt, you are going to see a whole lot of things copied from ancient Egypt back into the Bible. For instance, when Akhenaten was talking about the concept of one God, and then you see someone like Sahara. This in the pyramid test, first pyramid test he was the pharaoh of the 5th dynastic era. So he had said that he was the son of God, Sahara. So when they began to marry foreigners into the kingdom, they said that they were sons of God marrying the daughters of men. This will later come into the Bible, you see. And you go also back into something like the 4th dynastic era, where you have Khufu. And Khufu was something like 26 BCE. So this man was the one who built a boat, because at that time they believe they had so many attributes actually to God. but they didn't worship them. So sometimes they depict like sun god and this, that. So when there were many floods around there at that time, he built a boat that would take him to the celestial Nile. And this flooding of the Nile was called the Noank. Later, it will come back into the Christian Bible as the Noah's Ark. That's why today there is no archaeological evidence to back anything called Noah's Ark. It never existed historically. It was copied from Noank.
I think you and I are in most agreement, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate your insight.
Welcome, bro. I'm actually happy because what divides us is this religion. Religion is a tool for division, but people don't understand it. Yeah, so someone just deliberately created colors, and then make other people either feel inferior or teach other people, that they are more powerful. And by the way, when we sit together and we talk, or you bring little children together, you will see that they don't care about color. They just want to be human,
Yeah, that's
because
true. That's very true. That's something that I think prejudice is learned. I think it's a learned behavior in the same way that religion is a learned behavior. I think everybody's born an atheist, not believing, because atheism is the neutral position. It's the position of not believing. And so they're later taught, and unfortunately, I think they're indoctrinated, they're brainwashed from an early age to believe in a God or in a religious ideology. And you're right, it does harm. It's teaching a form of prejudice, and it's teaching a form of tribalism.
Yeah. And I also wish that we were allowed also to exploit, so that we discover God by ourselves, because God, I know, is nature. It creates balance when you allow things to happen. For instance, you don't need me to tell you that to kill someone is bad. To rape someone is bad. You don't need nobody to tell you. You know all these things already. Even before you do it, if you are someone who participates in things like that. So
hold on, I want to step back on that just a little bit. Nothing about human life is binary. Nothing about existence is binary. There is constant nuance and gray area in everything we do. Everything is constantly in motion, and everything is constantly evolving, and nothing is permanent. So that said, human behavior cannot be quantified to just good and evil. It's more complex than that.
Yeah.
I would say a healthy person who sexually assaults another person is probably they're not a good person. They're a bad person. But can you say the same thing about somebody who is suffering from a severe mental illness, like they're a psychopath, or they're a sociopath, or they are schizophrenic? If they have if their brain isn't wired correctly, they can have violent tendencies, and I don't know that it's their fault for having those violent tendencies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's never as simple. It's never as simple as good versus evil. It's never that simple.
And I also believe that morals also is built based on where you grow up, the culture and all that. If you grow up in any culture and environment, you are definitely going to adopt some. See, hold on, bro. Somebody's saying Jesus is king and Jesus is Lord. I'm not saying you should not practice what you want, but my problem is you guys trying to impose it on anyone, threaten us with hell because we do not believe in, what you believe in. Listen, the first slave ship that carried people, okay, no, maybe not the first, but one of the slave ships captained by John Hopkins was named after Jesus, the good shepherd. Bible never condemns slavery. Bible supports slavery. So these are the things that when we, speak about, you guys will begin to threaten us with hellfire. if all the people who don't know Jesus, it means that they won't go to hellfire. So stop preaching to them so that they won't go to hellfire. They will live their normal life. Everywhere you brought this religion, be it Judaism, Christianity, Islam, everywhere they go to, they create chaos. Everywhere.
Yep.
They just check history.
All
It's
all
war,
throughout
war,
his,
war.
all throughout history, religion, all religion has ever done is make chaos. You're absolutely correct. I don't want to like cut you off too early here, man, but I do want to get to some of the other guests. I appreciate your insight, man. You've been a blast to talk to, man. I thank you.
I appreciate you having me on your platform too. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome, brother, and I hope you come back again and we have some more conversation.
Yes, I've sent a request to you already.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, bro. One love.
Bye. Okay. We other ones in here. We have 4 guest requests. We're gonna go with Lauren. 18 minutes. How's it going,
bro?
How you doing?
You know, can't complain. It's kind of late, but it's cool. I copped in on here. I just wanted to understand why it was captioned "Hail Satan." What's the deal with that?
Oh, I'm a member of the Satanic Temple.
And why is that? So, what are your beliefs on that exactly?
Well, the Satanic Temple is a registered non-theistic religion. We do not believe in a literal Satan. We do not worship a literal Satan. We are a group of atheists, and we are a civil rights organization. We use Satan and Satan symbolism metaphorically to fight against Christian tyranny or religious tyranny.
Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, I'm not very experienced and I don't really know about it. Would you say you believe in a heaven and a hell, or is that just completely out of the way?
So we like I said, we are a non-theistic religion, and we are more of a civil rights organization.
Then why do you choose a word like Satan to fight against if it's not biblical or not religious?
Because it pisses Christians off.
Okay, all right. I mean, okay, you want to get under people's skin. Hey,
I mean, as far as the religion side of it, it's just a troll religion. It's a registered religion. We are a real religion, but it's a troll religion. So here is something that has happened in the past that the Satanic Temple has gotten involved in. And if you have Hulu, you can actually go and watch a documentary on Hulu called Hail Satan. Okay. It tells you everything about the Satanic Temple and how it got started and kind of the stuff it's been through. There's also a website, the Satanic Temple website. You can go and visit that, and they have an About Us portion you can read about. But I don't remember which state it was. It might have been Arkansas or Alabama. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But we had a landmark case that put the Satanic Temple literally on the national map. One of the state legislature houses decided to put up a monument of the 10 Commandments on state ground. This is a quite obvious violation of the First Amendment, the Establishment Clause, and the separation of church and state.
Right.
The Satanic Temple filed suit not to remove the 10 Commandments from the state capital, but to add a statue of Baphomet next to the 10 Commandments. Because if a state office is going to respect one religion, it should be respecting all religion based on the freedom of religion in the United States.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Satanic Temple steps up to Christians using religious freedom, the same religious freedoms that Christians abuse to cross that line of separation of church and state. That's what the Satanic Temple does in response to Christians doing that.
Right. So you guys kind of use it as, it's like you guys almost use it as like a metaphorical term, really.
Yeah, it's a metaphorical, it's just symbolism.
Okay. And so
So like
you don't.
Texas put in when they started their abortion ban, the Satanic Temple raised money to file suit against the state of Texas under religious freedom, because in the Satanic Temple, we have 7 fundamental tenets, and number 3 is one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. And we have an abortion ritual that a female member could go through if she wanted to receive an abortion, and this is a part of our religious freedom.
That kind of confused. So what type of abortion ritual do you guys do? What is that exactly? You don't just
Honestly,
send
I
her
have
to
no
the.
idea. I've never been a part of an abortion ritual. I think
Doesn't
it
that
has
seem
something
kind
to.
of cultish to you though?
No, it's
Even
sarcasm.
so, is it okay? That's another sarcastic thing that you guys are doing? Okay, no, honestly, I'm gonna have to just look more into it, obviously. But so, do you not believe in a higher power then at all?
Not at all. In fact, as far as I am aware, every member of the Satanic Temple is an atheist.
And so that has always interested me. So you just think that we're all here by chance?
I think we are here by unguided natural forces. I can't say that we're here by chance, because I don't know that you could do a mathematical equation to prove that.
Right. I mean, I don't really associate myself with a direct religion, because I think that they've been used more to separate / cause wars / do things in the past that it's just kind of been misconstrued. But at the same time, I do believe that there is some sort of creator out there / a higher power, or maybe universal energy / souls that we've gotten to where we are today. I think there's a better chance of that than the Big Bang and 2 atoms
Well, the
separated
Big
apart,
Bang
and then
happened.
now we're here.
The Big Bang happened. The Big Bang is a scientific fact.
I know, but I'm saying we don't know that if it created all of this and all of this life. We know that 2 atoms supposedly.
We do know that the Big Bang was the beginning of space-time, and we do know that all of the matter in the known universe came from the Big Bang.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I just find so that means you do think that we're here by chance.
No. Again, when you say chance, you're denoting a mathematical probability, and I don't know how you could come to that conclusion. I say that we are here due to unregulated natural causes.
Yeah, but I also don't believe that they call the Big Bang a fact. I think that's more of a theory.
It is a fact.
It's like,
no, it's well, for starters, a theory is a fact.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
There's a multiverse theory. There's a parallel universe theory.
No.
It doesn't make it a fact. You have to be able to prove it.
How scientists use the word theory versus how regular people use the word theory is 2 very different things.
Yeah, but the thing is, with science, you have to prove your theory.
And they did with
the
Big Bang.
They haven't.
Yes, they have proven it. It's called the microwave radiation background. How many astrophysicists do you follow?
I mean, I wouldn't say a shit ton. Couple.
I follow like 3 on social media. I know, and Neil deGrasse Tyson is just one of them because he's an obvious. I also follow Lawrence Krauss, who is a physicist. I follow probably a dozen scientists, and I read works written by scientists, and I listen to podcasts by science communicators. I'm neck deep in scientific discovery. I can't wait for the James Webb Telescope to start sending back photos. I am fucking excited as shit over that.
I agree.
I'm telling you that astrophysicists have settled that debate. The Big Bang Theory is a fact.
But that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, okay, it's almost like it's okay, like Newton, right? He had a theory of how physics worked. Then he went and proved it.
wait.
No, but hold on. Let
He
me
had
finish
he
real
had
quick.
a, he had a, he had a mathematical
I
theory
know,
for how physics works.
okay, but let me finish real quick. He had a theory of how he thought physics worked. He then went and proved that theory, and it got turned into a law. So now there's a law of physics. There is no law of the Big Bang. It's a theory.
That's because
So
a law and a theory aren't the same thing.
I know, because a theory, it's supported by evidence, but it's not proven
No,
as a
okay,
fact yet.
stop. No, you are confusing two very different things. A law describes how something works. So one of Newton's laws is an object in motion will remain in motion until it is affected by an outside force. That is a law describing how something in nature works. A theory is something that falls inside of those laws. A theory, used in a scientific sense, is the best known explanation based on the evidence available.
Okay. I mean, I guess I'll have to personally look more into the whole Big Bang to, just to figure out how much of a fact it is. But
is it ironic at all that people who have a belief in a deity or a higher power or a god only ever argue with two theories? Out of all of the scientific discoveries and theories that we have made, only two of them get argued with constantly by people who have a belief in something supernatural. And that's the theory of the Big Bang, and that's evolution. I don't see Christians arguing about germ theory. I don't see Muslims arguing the theory of gravity. I don't see Jews arguing over virology or epidemiology or any other scientific field. Just Big Bang and evolution. And the reason why these people argue with these two is because these two directly conflate their religious beliefs. That's why they only attack those two.
yeah, no, I completely understand, and I agree with that, and that's because if they go with, if you're a Christian and you believe in the theory of evolution, then obviously you are gonna go to hell according to the Bible slash
Well,
that's something that
there,
is an argument that they have. But
there's a problem with that too, because Christians don't understand their own theology. When a Christian talks about their religion, it's from the perspective of just the Bible. And it's not even the entire Bible, it's just cherry picked verses that support their nonsense. They don't read the archaeology. They don't read about the anthropology. They don't read about the politics at the time that the Bible was put together. Most Christians aren't even aware of the fact that Christians killed Christians for having different Christian beliefs.
yeah, well,
There was a subset of Christianity. There was a denomination of Christianity in the early first couple of centuries that was made up entirely of women. The Catholic Church wiped them out.
right. No, I mean, I completely agree with you in the fact that there's a lot of questions that surround religion, and I think there's a lot of things that people have done bad in the past. But we also can't only use extremist examples as pointing to a whole entire religion.
I'm not using extremist examples. I'm using the baseline average of Christian behavior throughout history.
I mean, I can't exactly argue with that because they have a pretty bad history. You're correct. Yeah, I can't.
They had two inquisitions where they indiscriminately murdered people for having thought crimes, sinning inside their head. The Dark Ages, where the church literally told people, if you do not convert to Christianity, we are going to kill you. And they did. The Crusades, where different religions decided to fight over whose God had the bigger dick. Salem witch trials, using the Bible to justify slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, the fight against women's rights to vote and own property, LGBTQ rights. Every single time any religion is given even a moniker of social power, they destroy everything they touch.
Yeah, they go overboard and go nuts. But yeah, I mean, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I really just wanted to, kind of get more of a base of
I mean,
what the whole
and
satanic thing is. And
that said, I don't want to take away people's beliefs. I have no
no,
interest in
I'm the same way.
stopping people from believing the things they want. The reason I'm a social activist and an atheist activist is because personal beliefs should remain personal.
Personal,
They
yeah.
should not be in politics and they should not be in education.
Yeah, I agree, but I do think they should also be much more of a conversation, free flowing conversation, and not such a judgmental conversation. Whereas I feel like Muslims and Christians and Judaism and Buddhism should talk to each other more about their religion and their beliefs and their backgrounds to see
No, I think
what
they should keep. I think they should each keep their religion to themselves because they oppose each other.
exactly. But
And
that's
when
I think
people
yeah,
oppose
but
each other, they die.
it, but at some point in time, we're it's 2022. At some point, you have to kind of take a step forward and be like, all right, how can we come together and try to figure something out here and
It's really
bring
simple.
people together.
No, it's very simple. If you want to get the religions to respect each other, they need to learn to mind their fucking business and keep their shit to themselves. It's just that simple. You are allowed and have the right to have your personal beliefs. You are not allowed and do not have the right to impose your beliefs onto another person. It's just that simple.
Yeah, no, I feel
Religious
that.
beliefs should be private and personal, not public and political.
I guess I just don't agree in the private part because then how do you really learn? Because like you said, there's a lot of people that are brought up in these households that their parents command them to be this religion, to be this thing, and then they can't ever get out of it. Where I feel like if people are more open and want to talk more about their religions,
If
yes, keep it
people
out of
want to,
politics, keep it out of education, but just like we're having this conversation here, I feel like then more people should be able to have these type of conversations.
well, this conversation isn't anybody imposing a belief.
I I know, but I feel like I have my beliefs where I believe in a higher power. I don't associate myself with one religion. You have your belief where okay, you're a non-theist and you're with the satanic temple, but
My beliefs conform to the best known scientific evidence, and I make great effort to not distort scientific facts based on my own personal bias.
I can understand that, but I just I guess I'm also a believer in energy and meditation and
Energy
universal.
is just energy is just motion. It's
Yeah,
not mystical, it's not supernatural, it's just motion.
I mean that's your belief, but there's a lot of people that.
That's a scientific fact.
So you don't think Nikola Tesla was up to anything? You don't think he was on to anything?
Nikola Tesla talked about energy in the same way I'm talking about it. He didn't Nikola Tesla didn't look at energy as a mystical, all-powerful supernatural force.
No, but I mean, he looked at the numbers of 369 as the universal tesseract,
Yeah,
and basically saying that
Isaac Newton thought alchemy was legitimate. Just because you're right about some theories doesn't mean you're right about all of them.
exactly. But that's the same exact thing we can talk about our scientists today. They don't know everything. Science is
No, they
always an
don't.
ongoing
But
thing.
the scientific method is designed to root out personal bias.
Yeah, but
It shows what is evident.
right. But supposedly our science has lost the ability to do a lot of things that we used to be able to do. So
Like
at
what?
some point in time, huh?
Like what? Like what?
Landing on the moon.
We can still do that.
No, that NASA scientists have came out and said that they destroyed that and they can't do it again.
Yes, they can.
I mean, hey, you can go. You can look it up if you
I'm
want.
correct, I do believe, and I might be a little bit off on this one. I'm not sure if he made that promise or not. But I do believe that Elon Musk has a plan to put a station on the moon. That's his goal. One of his goals.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's his goal, but that's a private equity and private company.
How's that any different from NASA?
We haven't done it in over like 50, 60 years.
That's because it's not financially or fiscally it's not fiscally what's the word I'm looking for? We can't afford it because NASA's budget is literal fractions of pennies on the dollar.
I mean, the James Webb Telescope was over $10 billion.
Over the course of how many years? 20? Over the
No.
course of 20 years. They've been working on that thing for 20 years.
Okay, so 500 million a year to one project.
Right. And how much money did we just give our military for this fiscal year? $1 billion?
760, I think.
Yeah.
That's how much that Biden asked for. But
yep.
I mean,
how much money did the Pentagon? How much money did the Pentagon lose during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars?
So, I don't know, something like in the trillions, right?
Yeah, trillions. So when I tell you that NASA's budget ain't shit, I quite literally mean NASA's budget ain't shit.
Exactly, but how much did it cost for us to go to the moon the first time? And that's the thing. No one else has done it since the U.S.
The economy then was different than the economy now. And for a long time after we got to the moon, people kind of just lost interest in it. I mean,
but think about that. There's no, they didn't lose interest. They couldn't do it. Russia wanted to prove that they're better than China. China wants to prove they're better than Russia. Just like we wanted to prove we were better than all of them.
Why couldn't they do it?
That's a great question. That's exactly the question I'm asking. Why we can't do it now? Because they never did it.
I think you're kind of leaning on some conspiratorial things. You're wrong. There is no global conspiracy to do anything.
What? See, that I just don't agree. We were in a space race. We needed to prove to them that we were superior, and America has always wanted to prove that we were superior.
Bill Clinton couldn't get his dick sucked by a Jewish girl without it getting public. You can't tell me that there wouldn't be a whistleblower in something like that.
What do you mean? There's been people that try to call it out as a hoax.
No,
try to say that.
There has never been anybody that was reputable who did that. Not one reputable scientist has ever come out and whistle-blown on some bullshit conspiracy.
I wish there was like a way for me to show you the video of the NASA doctor. I mean, NASA scientists coming out and saying, "Well, we would love to go to the moon again, but we destroyed that scientific stuff, and we don't have the ability to do it anymore." He came out and said that directly.
I'm not buying it. I think we haven't gone to the moon because it's not something we can afford to do. It's too expensive.
If we could afford it back then, we could probably afford it now. And at the end of the day, the world's in $226 trillion.
No, we can't. We afforded it then because of special reasons. We can't afford it now for a lot of other reasons.
I mean, hey, if we're sending a James Webb Telescope out to go search for potential life, then I mean, I guess
that's not what the James Webb Telescope. That's not what the James Webb Telescope's goal is. The James Webb Telescope's goal is to see further back in time than we have seen to this point.
Yeah, but it's also to find possible inhabitable planets and possible places that we can find life.
Possible habitable planets, but not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, finding life would be a bonus, but that's not the purpose of the telescope.
I mean, there's multiple purposes. It's not only one thing.
Its main thing is to measure ultraviolet radiation. That's what it looks at. It looks at ultraviolet light.
But it also looks at the atmosphere and the matter of a planet, because then they can be like, okay, most likely there's life there.
The main goal of the James Webb Telescope is to look at the radiation background, look back in time, and see how galaxies and things form.
I'm saying that there's multiple reasons that the James Webb Telescope was launched, which is why it takes so long for it to just to open up. But I mean, we've diverged from the conversation. I know you got other guests in here and stuff like that. I appreciate you giving me, your background on the satanic stuff. I can't wait to look into it. I'm gonna hop on the Hulu, and if I see you back on here, I would love to have another conversation.
I appreciate that, man. I can't wait. I look forward to it. Seriously.
Yeah, for sure, man. Great conversation. You have a great rest of your night.
You too. Take it easy.
All right, my man.
All right. Oh, that's a good comment. Ethan can't debate. He thinks he knows everything and claims facts on every belief. No, the thing is, I don't talk about things I don't have some type of grasp on. My old man had a saying when I was a kid: it is better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. I'm not a rocket scientist. I can't sit here and tell you what the best fuel mixture is to get the best thrust. I don't fucking know. I only talk about the things that I have an understanding of. I don't believe in astrology, so I have no idea what my astrological sign is. Anyway, we're going to go with Sinemi, who's been waiting for 30 minutes.
Hello.
Hi. How
How's
are
it
you?
going?
It's going okay. How are you?
I am well.
That's good. I have a question.
Go for it.
So you guys were just talking about like respect and religion and all that. What do you have
Okay.
against Christians?
I'm sorry.
But why do you hate Christians?
I don't hate Christians.
Or why you don't like them or whatever?
I don't not like Christians. I respect people. I respect their autonomy. I do not respect beliefs or ideas, because beliefs and ideas have to earn respect. And if somebody has the belief that women shouldn't have control over their bodies, if someone has the belief that two men cannot be happily married and have children, if someone has the belief that science shouldn't exist or that education is whatever, if somebody has a belief that is provably and patently wrong, I'm going to call that out. I'm going to call that idea out. I'm going to expose it. There are some things that I hate. I hate bigotry. I hate prejudice. I hate ignorance. Unfortunately, religion inspires these behaviors in people.
Mhm. Well, I don't understand the words you just said.
What word did you not understand?
The ignorance and the word after it.
Bigotry?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Huh. It is bigoted to think, okay, do you understand the word racism?
Yes.
That is bigotry. Racism is the concept that one race is superior to another race. That is bigotry. Do you understand the word sexism?
Not like in the same gender.
Yes. That is the belief that one gender is superior to another gender. That is bigotry.
Oh,
Do you understand what bigotry is?
wrong.
Well, bigotry is the idea that one subset of people is more superior to another subset of people.
Oh,
Ignorance is a lack of education, a lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge. Religion inspires a lack of education.
Wait, how come? Why? I don't know if I heard this right or not. I don't know, but do you guys support abortion?
Yes,
Why is that though?
because the alternative is wrong. Abortion serves a purpose. If the United States bans abortion, here are 5 consequences that will happen within the first 2 years. 1, infant mortality rates will go through the roof. So babies will die more often. Women will have a higher suicide rate. Women will die in childbirth and pregnancy more often. Poverty will go through the roof in the United States. We will have more impoverished people. Domestic violence will go up. In those first 2 years, those will be the first 5 immediate consequences of banning abortion. Abortion is a necessary healthcare decision that women need to be able to make for themselves. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but yeah. Why do you get mad at people when they're telling you that something you don't want to hear, but you're happy and all that when you hear what you want to hear?
I don't. I get mad when I have to repeat. I get mad when I have to repeat myself. I get mad when people obfuscate or try to create circular reasoning, when they avoid answering questions, when I have to constantly correct somebody's wrong assertion about a given subject, and they refuse to hear that correction. I will get frustrated at that. Is the earth round or is the earth flat?
Round.
Round. Thank you. So imagine you're having a conversation with somebody who insists that the earth is flat. And no matter what you say, no matter how many facts you give them, they just continuously ignore you, move the goalposts, so to speak. They shift the conversation. They change the subject. They don't answer any of your direct questions. Are you going to get frustrated?
If they keep on like saying that and that, yep.
Yeah, same for me.
But it's really simple just to leave Christian. We can just leave each other alone. It's that simple. Like,
No, we cannot leave. No, we cannot leave each other alone. That's the thing. Christians don't leave people alone. Christians are constantly getting involved in other people's lives. Christians are knocking on people's doors. Christians are going to other countries and browbeating indigenous people with a Bible and calling it charity. Christians in the United States are trying to turn their religious beliefs into laws that I have to follow. And I do not want to follow a Christian law.
When Christians,
yes, it is how it is. That's exact. Are you paying attention to the news? Are you paying attention to politics in the United States?
I don't really do social media.
I'm talking about social media.
News is kind of social media.
So if you don't know what's going on politically, then why would you try to comment on it?
I don't know.
Hmm. Maybe do some research and then come back, man. I'm happy to talk to you.
All right.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
nice
much for
night.
jumping in.
Yep.
Have a nice
Have a
night.
nice night. You too. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Let's go with.
Morning. Well, morning where I am. It's
Morning.
6 a.m.
It is 5 a.m.
Well, hail Satan and hail you, man.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Ave Satanas.
Yeah, so the conversations here have certainly been interesting to say the very least.
Well,
I
I'm glad I'm glad that at the bare minimum I'm entertaining.
yeah, I actually was baptized twice. Served in my church as Sunday school for about 5 or 6 years. And it was having a conversation with someone in the Satanic Temple that then got me to do some delving into and some research. Got hip to the Hail Satan documentary, watched it, and yeah, the whole deal with Christianity. Um, it seems like the original fanfic.
It is a little bit, isn't it? I mean, I'm convinced that about roughly 80% of what modern Christians believe is just that. It's Christian fan fiction. It's a bad game of telephone. Because if you go back to the first few centuries of Christianity, they didn't believe in a Trinity. They didn't believe in a virgin birth. They didn't believe in a tribulation. They didn't believe that revelation was prophetic. They didn't believe in hell. Like, I mean, what we have today for modern Christianity, like I said, is just a bad game of telephone.
Yeah, and it's the issue that I find is when people take that millennia old game of telephone and then they try to make rules and laws to govern other people.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating, especially
Um,
when we know that what they're doing is actually more dangerous than what we've been doing. So, instance, abortion. Roe v.
More
Wade
dangerous than what we've been doing. So, instance,
abortion.
Roe v. Wade. More dangerous than what
I'm sorry.
we've been doing. So,
Do you have
instance,
headphones on?
yeah, let me. I'm trying to get this fixed up here for us.
You got to back the headphones off, otherwise I
There
get a
we
really
go.
bad echo. We have Roe v. Wade for a reason. Prior to Roe v. Wade, we had a lot of social issues. We had really, really high infant mortality rates. We had really high rates of women dying in pregnancy and in childbirth. There was a reason why the federal government came together and said, okay, here is a standard by which we can safely do abortions and mitigate some of these social issues that we're having. So, I mean, there's yeah. I mean, when Christians think they have the right idea, but they actually don't have the right idea, it kind of backfires on everybody from a social perspective. Oh, it seems like he disconnected. I can't hear him. Well, if Miguel, if you can hear me, jump back in the queue, bro.
add you again. We will get back to talking with you. Let's go with.
How's it going, my
Good morning.
brother?
Good morning. It's going pretty good. How are you doing?
Oof. I'm still awake. I don't know why. I should be asleep.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes I stay up as well until about 4 a.m. Now it's about 1 p.m. It's because I went to bed at 4 a.m. So just waking up and I came across you live.
Oh yeah.
And I was just reading what it says in the back of your head that you're not convinced that any God claims are true, right?
Correct.
And so what I've noticed is that the debate is really around, Christianity and the religions. And I was where you were at in terms of not saying that I don't believe that any God claims are true, but sort of just leaving the question of God in the background. Because what I had been taught all my life was to seek God through something else, or through someone else, be it a preacher, a pastor, a brother in the church, somebody that came and knocked on my door. It's always taught that you need to seek God through these different avenues. And I'm not going to debate about religion and the fact that it's a measure, as a means of control, as a means of manipulating the people, is what they do. It's what they've always done. And
Yes.
you name
Emotional manipulation.
exactly. And if you name any religion from around the world, you'll find concrete examples of them doing that either in the past or still here in the present day. So I had basically an experience, right after, COVID hit, right during, the time of COVID hitting, that I just started noticing like strange things around me, seeing double numbers, seeing the same numbers over and over, seeing this, seeing that, right? Then I started noticing that there was, for example, strange videos showing up on my YouTube timeline. For example, a video showed up about kidney stones, right? And I didn't really pay attention to it, but I had a slight pain, a slight ache in my back near my kidneys. No, never would have, occurred to me that I had a kidney stone. But when the video all of a sudden showed up, I had never Googled anything about it, never looked for it or anything like that. It just showed up on its own, right? And in that video, the doctor also explained, what you can take to help dissolve kidney stones. So I started squeezing my lemons every day in my water. And the more I sort of kept paying attention to these strange anomalies that was happening in my life, the more things started to line up, right? So,
I want to interrupt just for a second.
sure, of
Did you
course.
did you go to a doctor and get a medical diagnosis for a kidney stone?
No,
Okay, so
no.
then you don't know that you don't know that you had a kidney stone.
What I did do is this is what I did. What I did do was I looked at people that had kidney stones. They basically recounted their experiences. I looked at it and I said, okay, this is what this pain in my back is, right? It
Yeah.
must be a kidney
Have you ever
stone.
heard of a placebo? The placebo
Of,
effect?
of course,
There's
I know what the
actually
placebo.
there's a there's an opposite to that where somebody will go on WebMD and they'll start reading about something and they think they have that thing. The
Yes,
brain
this
plays
this
tricks on us.
the
My
brain is
point is, my point here is that if you don't have, if you can't, if like with the kidney stone thing, if you didn't verify that you had a kidney stone, then your whole entire premise is shot.
okay. I can give you a better example. So I went to the doctor last October 2020 because I had noticed that after I had COVID, my tonsils on the right side were constantly swollen. So I went to the doctor and he said, okay, I mean, it's not something that is really causing you to, not breathe or not be able to, not be very uncomfortable in life. You don't have to take it out. You can leave it and see what happens to it over time, or you can decide, to take it out. We actually had scheduled the surgery. Same thing again. I got this feeling that wait, do something different in terms of healing your throat. So, and the message I was getting, because I'm an energy healer, was to use my hands. It was the very beginning of my journey, and I actually have photos of before and after where you can see basically my tonsils just decrease and go back to a normal size over time. Right now, I'm not saying that that's evidence of God, right? But I'm saying that what told me that I had the
That's
ability to
I'm
do that.
I'm gonna tell you that that's evidence that you did what the doctor told you to do. He gave you two options. You can let it hang out and it might go away on its own, or you can have surgery. You decided to hang out and let it go out on its own, and it did. There's nothing mystical about this. So I'll ask you this question anyway.
Okay,
You think hold on,
so
I'm gonna give you an example here. You think these things are mystical, that they relate to God somehow. What do you say to the 7-year-old child who just died from bone cancer? Where's his mystical feeling? Where's his healing from God? What do you say to the child who's born to the crackhead mom and has its, I mean, he's born premature. This tiny baby that would fit in my hand is addicted to crack cocaine when it was forcibly born. Where is that baby's God? Where is the healing for that person? When Christians come to me, when religious people come to me and they say, well, I have this personal experience that God went out of his way to do this thing for me. Well, why isn't that God doing it for everybody? And why is it? Why is it this only happens to people that already believe in this shit? I have never met atheist one that has ever been consumed by the spirit of a demon and needed an exorcism. Yet I have seen
okay,
umpteen Christians make that claim, and they will stand on stage, pretend they're having a fucking seizure, and start talking in tongues.
okay. I see that you have a medical issue, and so I do this all the time for people where I literally give them mystical experiences through crystal healing, right? If you are open to that,
Oh man, you are barking up the wrong tree.
that's what I'm saying. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. You want to say, okay, let me have my own real world experience, right? You want your own real world experience of something mystical.
Oh, I tell you what, if somebody can heal my dead kidneys that died from an autoimmune disease and get me off of fucking dialysis, dude, you will have literally invented an entirely new medicine that would solve thousands and thousands of people's lives. Because on average in the United States, 90,000 people are eligible for kidney transplant. Roughly about 20,000 people get a transplant, and roughly about 5,000 people die per year on dialysis.
I have a brother. My
So
oldest brother is on dialysis.
I'm gonna tell
Although
you,
I can't understand your pain,
I'm gonna repeat a phrase that I've repeated a few times. Faith healers do not work in hospitals for the same reason psychics don't win the lottery.
so here's the thing. I'm not a faith healer at
If
all.
you're using crystals, that's what you are.
Yeah, but that's not, no, you can't say that. Don't label me as those people. I'm not a faith healer. I'm not a
You are
spiritualist. I went,
you are using non-scientific methods based entirely on a faith, on supernatural,
it's not based on a
whatever.
faith. It's not based on a faith.
It's based on an assumption of supernatural energy, whatever that is.
So
It's
let me ask you this
unproven.
question.
It's
Let me ask you this
unproven.
question.
It's unproven
Okay, so let me
nonsense.
ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, right? Would you do anything? Would you do anything and try anything to heal your kidneys?
I would do what the doctors tell me to do.
Okay, so that's not what I'm asking. Would you do anything to
No,
try
I
and heal
answered
your
your question.
kidneys?
I'm not gonna. I'm
So
not
for
gonna.
example, okay, so if somebody comes to you and says, okay, says, Ethan, try this. Try meditating with 2 cheap crystals in your hand with a shaman and see what that brings to you. They're not asking you to take any medicine. They're not asking you to perform any ritual. They're simply
So
asking you to
where?
take 90
Okay,
minutes to take 90 minutes of your time and do breathing exercises.
you think you can cure kidney failure with meditation and crystals?
See, when you put it like that, when you put it like that, you know, it's like it's kind of hard to get what I'm saying here when you put it like that, right? when you put it like that. My question is, I'm going to go back to my question. If somebody came to you, Ethan, and said, look,
I
get
would tell
yourself
them
two
they're
cheap.
full of shit. I will absolutely 100% unequivocally tell them they're full of shit, because crystal rock healer people have been around for the better part of like 8,000 years, and none of what they have ever done has been proven scientifically accurate or correct. And I tell you what, if you are the one that has accomplished this feat, then I recommend you write a paper about it. Submit your evidence to a
See, so
scientific
here's the
journal.
thing, Ethan. Here's the
Submit
thing,
your no,
right?
stop. Submit your
Just
evidence to a scientific journal for peer review and study. And if you are onto something, then you will be like the Nobel Peace Prize winning most badass person on the planet.
So Ethan, hold on. I'm not looking to be the Nobel Peace Prize winning most badass
Yeah,
person on the
it's kind
planet.
of convenient that people who make your claims are always saying, I have no interest in being recognized, because none of them,
Ethan, let
none
me
of
finish.
them,
Let me finish.
none of
Ethan,
them can
Ethan,
prove their claims.
you're making this about everybody else, right? You're making this about everybody else and about society. And it's the
And
same thing that happens with
you are
just let me finish.
avoiding
Just let me finish.
the
Just I'm not
point.
avoiding. Let me get to my point, and then I'll hear you out, right? What I've noticed, right? If we just, it has to be society based. It goes back to the notion that God has to be society based, that God is not a personal experience. And what I found is that, especially when I join these lives, the majority of people, it's like they want outside validation that yes, God exists, rather than experiencing it for themselves, right? And it's the same thing with the crystal healing. I said, look, I know my case, right? If there was something medically wrong with me and somebody said to me, hey, try it out for free, nobody's asking you to pay anything, to do anything, just to show up and to give something a try. Rather than saying that, you're crazy or that, you're full of shit, why not? Why not? You want evidence of something supernatural, yet you're not open to it. That's the thing. If you're not open to it, then you will never receive it.
I could do a 30-second Google search and pull up umpteen hundreds of articles of people who died believing this bullshit. You
So
are
here's
not
the thing,
helping
Ethan.
people.
Here's the
You
thing, Ethan.
stop,
No, Ethan.
stop,
Here's the thing.
stop,
Stop. Here's the
stop,
thing. I know where you're
stop. No,
going. I know
no,
where
no,
you're
no, no,
going.
no,
I
no,
know
no,
where you're
no,
going.
no, no, no,
You're gonna
no,
say
no,
that I
no,
don't
no,
believe in
no,
medical science.
no,
I do
no,
believe in
no,
medical
and no,
science.
and
I don't
no,
believe in
and no.
medication.
I'm not
I do
gonna
believe in
stop.
medication.
Stop, 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 stop. You are spreading misinformation based on your personal beliefs, and you are
What
going to
what
get people
misinformation
hurt.
am I
You
spreading?
are
What
going to
misinformation have
get
I spread?
people, you are going to get people hurt. Do you care
Really?
about that at all?
Ethan, hold on. That's just make a pause right there, because you are spreading misinformation about me. I am not telling anybody not to follow their doctor's order. There's not one person that I've dealt with where I've said, stop your medication, don't do this, don't do that. No, do everything in your power to heal yourself. So when you're saying
Okay,
that
so
I'm
the
spreading
question.
misinformation, you're wrong. When you're saying I'm going to get people hurt, you're wrong. That is a flat
So
out
then I have a
lie.
question. So then I have a question. If people that you are talking to are still going to their doctor and receiving medical attention, how the fuck do you know anything you are telling them is having any effect?
Even the medication that you are on to help your kidneys, have they been doing anything for you?
I'm not
Have they
on
done
medication
anything
for
for
my
you?
kidneys. I'm not on
My
medication
brother,
for my stop.
so
I am not
people that
on
have been
medication.
on medication, people
Stop.
that are on medication
Or
for
I'm
drugs, and they're
going
seeing
to
no
end this
change, no change,
conversation.
no change. And the
Stop.
only change that
Or I
they,
am
they, they
going to
come is they
end
come
this
to a shaman. How
conversation.
can you discount that?
Stop. Or I'm going to end this conversation.
Fine, go fuck yourself. You're a lying ass sack of shit who cannot back up your fucking claims. You spread misinformation that causes harm. I cannot remember the number of fucking articles that I have read that people believe this bullshit and it gets them killed or hurt or worse. I don't give a fuck what he was trying to get to. He is science, woo, pseudo fucking bullshit, dumb fuckery. And that shit is toxic and harmful. Period. And I let him speak. I let him speak for the first however many minutes we were talking. And if he's onto something, then he should have met my challenge. It's very simple. If you have a method by which you can cure a fucking disease, you should write a goddamn article about it, present your evidence to scientific and medical journals for peer review and study. And if there is any evidence available, then you will have helped the entire world. If you cannot do that simple, basic thing, if you cannot write an article and present your evidence for peer review, then you are full of shit. That's it. End of story. I don't care if you can see both sides of it or not. He's wrong. Dead fucking wrong. Period. End of story. There's just no argument there. None. All right, we're going to user 3. Well, it doesn't seem like user 388 is going to connect. That's rough. Oh, we're out of guest. Well, there's 142 people in here. If anybody wants to have a conversation. Karma, I try to avoid making people's mods because I end up getting comments eventually that somebody who is being polite and trying to be a part of the conversation ends up getting kicked out of the live or getting muted. And I don't like that. I don't like muting people if I can avoid it. So for those of you in the comment section who said that I'm not on dialysis, yeah. Bullshit. I'm absolutely on dialysis. It was an autoimmune disease that took my kidneys in the first place. My kidneys have been dead for 10 years. All right, let me see here. Hold on a second. That's not a conversation. That's forcing your opinion on others and not considering anyone's views. No, that's not. That has nothing to do with an opinion. An opinion is my favorite color is black. An opinion is my favorite food is steak and potatoes. An opinion is Nirvana's a pretty good band. So is what's that other one that everybody seems to hate? Nickelback. Nickelback was a pretty good band. That's a fucking opinion. He made scientific claims about health and wellness. That is not left up to fucking opinion. No, it's not. I don't have a heart catheter for 10 years. I got sick in 2012. I got a transplant in 2013. My transplant rejected in 2020, February. So it's in a couple of weeks, I will be on dialysis now for 2 years. I have had this catheter in for 2 years. Yeah, I've heard a doc say get a second opinion from another doctor, not a fucking shaman. I don't know why people hate Nickelback. It's a weird one. I kind of like them. Why won't Red Bull help? What do you think Red Bull's going to do to me? Your opinion and beliefs in science. No, I don't know what you're trying to say. It gives me wings. Red Bull gives me wings. Why would Red Bull hurt me? Why won't you consider trying energy healing of some sort? Because I've seen the studies done. I'm sorry you have a hard time reading about science or not understanding what science is. But energy healing is bullshit. It always has been, and it always will be. Pseudo-scientific nonsense. It is not real. Red Bull does not contain potassium. Thank you. The sodium level's pretty low. Sugar doesn't bother me. Sugar's not a dangerous thing for me to have. What's with the satanic stuff? Go to the Satanic Temple website and read it. Read the About Us portion of the Satanic Temple website. Then read the 7 fundamental tenets, and you'll understand where I'm coming from. Can I explain dreams? It's just your brain being active. They don't have any meaning. And also, we don't fully understand the brain, so we don't fully understand dreams. Favorite genre of music? Classic rock, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, George Thorogood, Bob Seger. I don't think souls exist. I don't have any evidence that a soul is a thing. And if you're using the term soul to reference consciousness, then just call it consciousness. And what is consciousness? Well, I don't know. I do know that it's the result of electrical and chemical reactions in your brain, but I don't know what consciousness is. Nobody does. Yet. I'm sure science will figure it out someday. Do I know Thomas Kuhn or Paul? No, I do not. When's my birthday? December 23rd. Hold on a second. Do you think music can be mental manipulation using frequency? No. I think that music can be emotional manipulation through frequency. But I don't think it can be mental manipulation. Why do you feel Christians are influencing the government? Abortion, education, anti-science. It's basically just Christian nationalism at this point. It's found itself in an extreme form. So when Trump was president, he announced 3 of the U.S. Supreme Court justices, like Amy Coney Barrett, who is an extremist evangelical Christian, Brett Kavanaugh, who is an evangelical Christian, Greg Abbott, Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, all of these like fundamentalist Christian extremists that are in government. In God We Trust on the Money didn't start until 1957. We are not a Christian nation. Don't even get me started on that conversation. Buying into the media theater. No, I'm not. What are... Well, thank you, Sofadal. I appreciate that. Why are you afraid to read the message I sent you? I ain't afraid of any of your messages. One nation under God wasn't the national motto until 1946. Are you even trying? Or are you just regurgitating talking points you heard on Fox News? Look, if you want a good rundown of why America is not a Christian nation, then there is a book I could recommend. The Founding Myth by Andrew Seidel. He is he is he's a specific kind of lawyer. I'm trying to remember what kind of lawyer he is. A constitutional lawyer. He is a constitutional lawyer. And his name is Andrew Seidel, and he wrote a book called The Founding Myth. It goes into great detail as to why America is not a Christian nation. Thoughts on alien life? I think alien life exists. I do not think alien life has ever visited Earth. Thoughts on science behind COVID-19 and the EU vax attached to them? COVID is a virus. It is a member of the SARS family. The vaccine works. Get vaccinated. I got vaccinated, and I'm grateful that I did, because when I got COVID over Thanksgiving, I didn't fucking die from it. No, this country is not ran by Jesuit Luciferians. Come on, man. Why? Why do the gullible insist on believing the goofiest of conspiracy theories? How can I believe aliens exist but not God? Simple mathematics. Life exists on Earth. There are a trillion other fucking planets in existence. So life must exist by a mathematical standard on any other planet. I don't have evidence for aliens, but from a mathematical perspective, it is likely that alien life exists on another planet. I have no mathematical understanding of whether or not a God could even potentially exist. No, I don't believe in simulation theory. Near-death experiences is Mayo Clinic did a huge study on NDEs, and from what we understand, at the time of a at the point of a near-death experience, your brain releases a hallucinogen called DMT. Now, in the course of the study, we found out that your hallucination depends largely on the culture that you grew up in. If you grew up in a Muslim culture, then your near-death experience is going to represent Muslim beliefs. If you grew up in a Christian culture, then your near-death experience will show Christian. You'll have Christian hallucinations. So, no, near-death experiences are bullshit. Thank you for the, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Nick Pickle. Prayer is not quantum entanglement. We have actually studied prayer, intercessory prayer, and we found out that prayer works at the same rate as chants. Why are you regurgitating goofy? Do you read like at all? Or honestly, are you just making are you just coming at me with Facebook posts that you happen to think were cool? What's your thoughts on religion killing so many people in history? It's tragic. It's tragic and it's disgusting, and I think it's very telling as to what religion inspires people to do. Okay, we have terminal CHF, when 2 other life-threatening conditions, edema, took my mobility in my hands. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. Seriously. I don't like to see people suffer.
Hey, how's it going?
It doesn't look like we're going to be able to.
Can you hear me?
Do I think of multiverse is plausible? I mean, yeah, I guess. To think that it's a plausibility, so I'll give them that credit based on their continued. What's up with the satanic and Freemasonry symbols on our money? but says in God we trust.
Hello?
First off, oh, hey, there he is. We got him.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Oh, that was so much trouble.
Yeah, I wasn't
Uh,
sure it was going to connect.
yeah, cool. Well, first, just like right off the bat, like I'm gonna say that like I don't really believe in science, and I don't believe in science primarily because I'd asked you a question earlier if you'd heard of Thomas Kuhn or Paul Feyerabend, and
Yeah,
they're pretty much the biggest reasons for it. Paul Feyerabend made
you're talking on a phone developed by science.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
You eat food developed by science.
That's true.
You wear clothes developed by science. You
Yeah,
drive automobiles developed by science. You live in buildings developed by science. You watch television developed by science.
that's true.
How again doesn't science exist?
Okay, let me ask you something. When did modern science come along?
Oh, it depends on what you mean by modern, but metaphoric, not metaphorically, colloquially, I hate that word. I can't hardly pronounce it. I would give it about 150 years.
150 years. Well, it came around like the Enlightenment. So I'm trying to remember exactly when that was. Like 200, so around there. But
I can find out really
before,
quick.
yeah, before the Enlightenment though, we still had technology, right? So if I took your argument and I placed you at this point in time and I said, "Oh, you don't believe in, the church or wherever that we thought we got our inventions," then you'd still be like justifying the like status quo. You know what I mean?
No, the Enlightenment took place in the 17th and 18th centuries.
Yeah, okay. So that's a lot
So
further then. So,
it's been a few hundred years.
so a couple hundred. But like still though, like if I went before that time and I used that argument, then I'd
What
just be
argument?
justifying the argument that you gave that like, oh, you're using a cell phone that came from science. You're using food that
I don't know.
came from
How,
science.
how, how do you know what argument I would use 250 years ago?
I'm just saying it's like that
I know
argument,
I'm
that
genuine. I'm
logic.
genuinely curious. I'm
Right.
genuinely curious how
Yeah.
you know what argument you and I would be having about this subject
Well, I
250 years ago.
I don't think that the individual here matters much. What I'm talking about is the actual logic that you're using. And if we took that and we applied it to another place, that you'd still be justifying the same thing. And like the
No,
reason that I
no,
don't believe in
no,
science,
no, no, no. Your logic today is a privilege that those people didn't have 250 years ago.
what do you
And
mean?
keep in mind you,
Yeah,
250 years ago, the vast majority of the population was largely uneducated and could not read.
yeah, okay,
So, yeah. So, um, science, science-minded individuals were still
yeah,
making hypotheses and theories about observations made in nature. William Herschel, Isaac Newton, those types
okay,
of people.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there still was a
Well,
philosophical
yeah.
scientific concept.
These people were coming up with models, right? And the thing
Yeah,
that I'm trying to like get across to you is
those
that for
models
example,
those models that they made and discovered led to the
yeah.
technological
No,
advances you
no,
have
no.
today.
I understand, but like here's the thing, like to like explain the difference between like this example was actually in Thomas Kuhn's book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. If you look it up, he's actually one of the most cited academics like in history. Um, he's a historian of science, but they also like classifies as like a philosopher. He's really cool. But anyway, he described the difference between Newtonian physics and Einsteinian physics, all rested on this one assumption that light was instantaneous, right? And the point with light being instantaneous was that when we started looking at the stars and trying to like do all our calculations and shit, we started noticing that like light was slowing down. And so the assumption for everybody was that like what's the thing that's slowing this light down, right? And they came up with this idea of this like hypothetical substance called the luminiferous ether, right? So that hypothetical that question that was at the forefront of science, right? That wasn't like a scientific question. What the problem was that we were framing it wrong, right? Like the way we were looking at it was uh, when we ask certain questions a certain way, like those questions demand an answer in a particular way. Do you get what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, but this is irrelevant to me entirely. You're talking
Yeah.
on a phone built by science.
I understand.
Science
exists. I understand. But like my point is
but
that
you're not
like
understanding because you're still trying to talk about something I don't care about. I'm looking at Thomas Kuhn.
Okay,
I don't give a shit about it.
But listen, the transition from Newtonian physics into Einsteinian physics required a interpretive difference. It meaning a subjective difference. Look, if
so what?
Okay, well, that's not objective. That's not objective. When I mentioned Paul Feyerabend earlier, he said
science
that like
science isn't objective.
No, yeah, it isn't. It isn't. It's not. It has to go through so many layers of politics. Have you ever heard of Ignaz Semmelweis? He was a doctor that was literally known as like the savior of mothers.
I don't understand the purpose of this.
Okay, let me just follow me, right? Look, Ignaz Semmelweis, he was a doctor who look, he invented like the concept of like washing your hands before you delivered a baby, and he was able to drop his infant mortality rate down to like 90%. And when he published his data,
he had an idea in relation to germ theory. Okay,
look, this I know. Anyway, he had this data, right? He had this theory that he put out, and do you know what happened? Like amongst the scientific community, they shunned him. They shunned him for like 40 years.
Yes, because science makes mistakes.
Exactly.
Stop. Science makes mistakes. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Excuse me. Scientists make mistakes. The people who hypothesized tectonic plate theory were rejected and laughed at. Dude, the scientific method is literally designed to root out personal bias.
But the
method is solid.
We still had it back then.
Are fallible.
Yeah, I mean, we still had it back then. I'm saying that like all this data still has to get fed through people, through culture.
What is your point?
My point is that science isn't objective. My point is that like. Okay, well, it isn't. What do you mean you don't give a fuck? You obviously do. If you're.
I care on the continued Stop.
Yeah.
I care on the. Stop.
Okay.
I care on the. You done?
Go ahead.
I care about the continued reliability of the method. Science has done more for our species than any religious claim ever has in the history of our entire species, and it's done it in a fraction of the time that we have been here. What other method do we have to understand nature and reality besides science?
There is no one scientific method, dude. Like that's just
Stop. There is one scientific method. You make an observation in nature. From that observation, you make a prediction. You write a paper with whatever evidence you have managed to gather, and you create a hypothesis. You submit that hypothesis for peer review by other scientists in your field. Or if it's tangentially related, scientists that are tangentially related to your field. And if enough scientists do the work that you did and come to the same conclusions you came to, then your hypothesis becomes a theory. This is how science works.
Yeah, dude, that's really naive, dude.
I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's continued reliability. You are talking on a phone, literally right now, over a GPS controlled network. When I was born in 1982, a cell phone was the size of a fucking car battery, and it didn't contain any information on it. Now, 40 years later, a cell phone fits in my pocket, and it contains the world's information at my fingertips.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's
Yeah.
science. Continued
Yeah.
reliability.
Science is just there are paradigms in which that we try to look. I
Fine.
know you care
If you have
earlier
a
about
better
this.
answer for
I know,
understanding nature and reality, by all means, enlighten me.
dude. I no. Listen. What I look. The reason that I like that the main reason that I wanted to come in here was primarily just because, like, first of all, like, I feel like you're fetishizing science into this one like monolithic protocol that it really
No,
isn't
I'm
that.
not.
Like, you're still relying on it to go through people and through people's like, people launder their desires through their logic all the time. Like that's an objective thing that we do. And so like to
I
think that like it's like
I want to know as many
I would
true.
love
I want
I
to
would
know. I want to know as
yeah
many true things as
sure
possible and as few false things as possible. The
yeah
scientific method has thus far been the only reliable metric by which we can do that.
no, like here like there's this story of these monks
I
who go
agree.
into the
I'm
okay
going to
thank you
challenge you again. Do you
okay
have a better metric? Do you have a better method for understanding nature and reality besides science?
yeah I think that like you I think for us to really conceptualize all of our realities right
And what do you mean all of our
everyone
realities? Whoa, 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 back up. What do you mean
okay
all of our realities?
all of our perceptions of our world and the way that we rationalize these things, right? And that we don't like try to monopolize our version of the truth of what something is, because a lot of times the way that like
Do you experience gravity?
yeah, I do.
Do the laws of nature apply to you?
Okay, listen, but do we don't even know what
Do
gravity
the
is.
laws of nature apply to you?
I don't know what the laws. I think we have an interpretation of what the laws of nature are, but I don't think we have a full like grasping of what everything
No, we
is.
don't have an entirely complete grasp of the laws of nature because we are
Yeah,
still a young species and we are still
yeah.
learning. But under the current model, do they apply to you?
I mean, it's a model, so no. Like
So they
you're
don't
getting
apply to you. So then,
the model
Isaac,
of a model.
Isaac Newton's laws of nature don't apply to you.
Isaac Newton's laws were incomplete.
Yes, they were. I'm talking
Yeah,
about the ones that he got done, the ones that stand today as laws of
yeah,
nature. They don't
yeah.
apply to you.
No, it's not that they don't apply to me. It's that like
So if
you
I
can
throw
say
a
that
rock
something.
in space,
Okay,
stop.
yeah,
If you and I each throw a rock in space at
yeah,
exactly 30 miles per hour, and both of our rocks fly past the moon,
yeah.
only mine will be affected by the gravity of the moon. Yours won't be affected by
No,
the
no,
gravity of the
no.
moon.
I'm not saying no,
Okay,
no.
so then
That's not what I'm saying at all.
the laws of nature as we understand them apply to you.
Yeah, okay, but like what I'm
Okay,
saying is
so then
what I'm disagreeing with.
what the
What I'm
fuck are you talking?
disagreeing with. What I'm
There is
disagreeing with.
no difference in reality. You
No,
are
no.
experiencing the
Listen.
exact
You're
same
confusing.
fucking reality that I am experiencing.
Listen, you're confusing the models that we create of our reality with the reality that we're experiencing. Have you ever heard of
No,
Baudrillard, John Baudrillard? He wrote this book called Simulation. Listen, let me finish. Let me
You
finish.
do not.
I mean, you're interrupting. Let me finish.
You do not get to
Oh my God.
reinterpret. You do not get to reinterpret and your own personal understanding of reality. That's not how this works. We are all of us experiencing this life together, the same.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Damned our interpretations of it.
Okay, look. All right, look. For example, look.
Reality is reality, whether you like it or not.
How do you know me and you see the same blue?
Because you and I can sit there and have that conversation.
But like, how do you
Unless
know
you're
what
color,
that my
unless
sense
you're
experience is the
colorblind.
same as yours? But how do you know my
Unless
sense
you're
experience?
colorblind. Huh?
How do you know my sense experience is the same as yours?
Because we have conversations about it. I can
Yeah, but
describe mine. Stop.
you
I
can't
can
feel what you're
describe mine.
feeling.
Stop. I can describe mine. You can describe yours. And by the way, our physiology is the same. You have nerve endings. You have I assume a dick. Your body functions relatively identical to the way my body functions.
Okay.
You have a heart, you have lungs, you have blood vessels, nerve endings, eyeballs, ears.
Yep,
Your
true.
body is fundamentally identical to my body because we're the same fucking species.
Yeah, but some people have a higher pain tolerances, don't they? Some people don't feel pain at all. Right? Yeah,
So
but they look exactly the same as you and me, but you wouldn't be able to tell that just by looking at their physiology without having like a first-hand experience.
Stop. That has absolutely nothing to do with reality being reality.
I know, but that's their interpretation of reality.
No, it's
Do you get what I'm saying?
It's something. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just something they experience within reality.
If I touch like a spiky tree or whatever, and I don't have a threshold for pain, like my perception of reality is that this tree doesn't hurt anybody else, right?
No,
because of that blindly.
Yes, but your perception of reality doesn't change reality.
Yeah,
that's just your perception.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is I can't access that reality without going through my perception first. You see what I'm saying?
No. Reality is still reality. Reality is still reality.
Yeah, I know, but I have to interpret reality first to access it.
We'll take this a step further. Say there's two people, person A and person B. Person A doesn't feel pain. Person B does. Say both of them get hit by a fucking car.
Yeah.
Just because person A doesn't feel pain, does that mean they didn't experience damage, broken bones, hematoma? They're not internally bleeding?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that at all.
Right. So reality still applies to them regardless of their perception.
Okay, but their interpretation of the reality that this thing would hurt me the same way it would hurt you, it doesn't come across.
It doesn't fucking matter. Reality is still reality. Period.
Yeah, dude, it's I feel like we're not connecting here.
You are literally sitting in my live on a phone that you have the privilege of having because of the scientific minds that came before you.
Okay, I understand, but we were able to build.
Tell me that science isn't real.
Yeah, okay, but listen, we were able to build all sorts of technology before we got to Einsteinian physics, right?
So
like,
what?
I'm saying that just because
technology was a process of evolution over time. The more we studied nature and reality, the more we learned about nature and reality, the more we were able to advance our society. This is not rocket science, man.
Okay, but listen, but there was still utility in other ways of thinking. Do you see what I'm saying?
What?
Like
eventually they became archaic ways of thinking.
Your argument of science doesn't have anything to do with its logic right now. What you're arguing is its utility.
That's all that matters.
I mean, not really. Like, if you.
That's what matters, is its continued reliability. I don't know what more you expect from science, man. Like, what more do you expect other than its continued reliability?
Science is a way that we try to see reality. That's what I'm saying.
No, science is a way we try to understand reality.
What's the difference between see and understand?
See and understand? See is subjective. People see whatever the fuck they want based on their personal bias. What's continued reliability means that my phone can connect to your phone and we can have this conversation.
All right, but you kind of lost it a little bit. I was asking the difference between seeing reality and understanding reality.
Seeing isn't always believing.
What does that mean?
It means your eyes and your mind can play tricks. Have you ever seen a one of those illusion books where if you blur your vision, you can see a 3D image?
Yeah. I love it.
Have you ever heard of psychopathy or schizophrenia?
Yeah.
So their perceptions of reality are twisted because of a glitch in their brain. So what they see isn't what is necessarily true.
Okay.
If you inhale the wrong gas or a certain type of drug, your brain will light the fuck up and you will see funny shit for hours on end. That doesn't make it true.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
Understanding reality means that you're looking past those the fault in your eyes and the fault in your brain. So humans are our brains are pattern recognizing machines. The problem is we have emotional biases. We are an instinctually scared species. It's left over from when we were walking on the plains of Africa trying to avoid predators. We're still evolving beyond that. But that fear that we instinctually have has an impact on everything we do from the day to day, and it affects our bias. And that bias affects other things, which is why we use the scientific method to root out that bias.
All right, let me ask you a follow-up question to the see and understand question. Can you understand something without seeing something?
Hypothetically.
How so?
Nobody has ever seen a black hole.
We've measured it though.
Yeah, but you've never seen one.
I mean, we've seen the void in the data of them, and we've seen
nobody's
objects.
Nobody's ever seen the multiverse. But we can do mathematical probabilities.
I mean, technically, I've never seen you. I've only seen an after image of you. You know, I've only seen photons of you. Like like the way that we seen black holes.
I fail to understand the purpose of this conversation.
Well, because
what meaningful impact does this have on anybody's life?
Because earlier you were talking, you said that seeing isn't understanding, right? And my point is that understanding is seeing, right? You need to see something to understand it. You need to be able to measure something to understand it, right? And so if you're seeing something, right, you know, as you said, seeing is objective, right? A lot of times we can rationalize our biases into things, right? Doesn't matter if we're right. All it matters is if we have, you know, more dominance in our little hierarchy of, you know, whatever field of
you literally just said a bunch of words that didn't add up to anything.
What part do you understand?
I asked you for a point. What the fuck is your point? I disagree with you. Science is real, and we use it to understand nature and reality. And we use our understanding of nature and reality to create a more comfortable life. We use it to acquire knowledge, which we have been doing since, I don't know, the dawn of the time we started writing shit down.
It's just it sounds like you're anthropomorphizing this like ritual, which really takes place at the collective level.
Not anthropomorphizing any ritual.
Because you're saying that science is this thing.
What other goddamn metric do you have for understanding nature? If you think science isn't the right answer, what other metric do you have? What other method?
Do you think I'm against using phones? Or do you think I'm against using telescopes?
That's not what I fucking asked you. That's not what I fucking asked you. Answer my goddamn question. What other method can we use to understand nature and reality besides science?
I think that science as a abstraction is very loose. And like I feel like you can use scientific tools. Listen, I understand. Let me finish. Let me finish, dude. Please, let me finish. Let me finish.
I don't want you to create another circular ass bullshit fucking argument. I want you to answer my question,
dude. I'm trying to.
No, you're not. You're literally talking yourself into circles.
All right, ask me the question again, dude. Ask me the question again.
If we cannot rely on science as a method to understand reality and nature, what other method do we have?
I think that, like, for us to understand nature and just reality, yeah, okay. Look, just to understand nature and just reality, I think we need to take a plural of perspectives. Like for example, like I think that there are truths in some religions. Like I don't think that they're completely true, right? But I think that there are some deeper truths that you can't really get to from science, right? Like we can find ways to rationalize, all sorts of evil shit, like, the concept of race and all these things. And I know you're saying that, well, we moved past that, right? But the thing is, we still had this scientific, method at the time. We still had the same the same sort of like logic as you would, okay. I mean,
You're not answering my question, man. I asked you
I feel
for
like
a method. I asked you for a method
Yeah.
to understand nature and
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, I think, dude, what I'm saying is
Name
that,
one. Name
I
one other method other than science that we can use to
I don't think
understand
you
the
can
nature
get
of
to
reality.
reality from one method, though. I don't think that you can really get it. You
Name
can't
10
monopolize
methods. Name 100.
poetry. I
any.
think poetry,
Any.
like all sorts of
Any.
shit.
Any other method other than
Do you
science.
think do you think poetry can describe nature?
That's not what I asked.
Yeah, you're asking how what other method can I get to understanding nature and reality, right?
Yeah.
Can I describe
Poetry has nothing to do. Poetry can describe
yeah,
a beautiful picture.
yeah.
But can it tell you why that beautiful picture exists?
I mean,
Poetry can describe a gorgeous sunset with pink clouds and a bright orange, beautiful sun. But guess what? The sun is fucking white. The only reason it appears orange on the horizon is because we have a fucking atmosphere.
Okay,
and by the way,
okay, but you asked me for other methods.
the sun is 8 minutes behind the fucking horizon.
Okay.
Because it takes sunlight 8 goddamn minutes to hit our atmosphere.
Okay.
So name another method you can understand the nature of reality besides science.
I just told you that you can't use just one method. This idea of like science.
I'm asking you for another method, and you're not answering my question.
I just gave you. That's just one framework. That's just one interpretive.
Poetry is not another fucking method.
Listen, have you ever heard of okay? Listen. What's the difference between
poetry
a quality?
Okay, not another. Stop.
There's qualitative studies and there's quantitative studies. All right, qualitative studies.
Stop.
What's a qualitative study?
Stop. Poetry is not a method for understanding anything.
You can't understand nature through it, right? You can't understand love through it. You can't
build me a James Webb telescope using nothing but poetry.
Okay, I just said you don't have to use one method. The fact that you think you can
use any other method, other than the scientific method to build a James Webb telescope.
You can still use tools that we developed through our traditions and bullshit. Like that's basically what science is, dude. It's like, look, man, like this is such a deep
you are literally running your ass into nothing. You are walking into a brick wall repeatedly. Does your forehead hurt?
No, dude, no, it doesn't, dude.
I asked you a fucking question. You made the claim that we can't rely on just science.
Yeah.
Science, technically, when we started this conversation, science isn't real.
Yeah.
You made that claim.
Yeah.
I am asking you for a different method for understanding nature and reality. Answer the fucking question or I'm done with you.
I just did, dude. I just did.
No, you didn't.
You keep asking me the same question, and I keep telling you that your question is wrong. Your question is wrong.
What method can you use to understand nature and reality besides science?
I just told you, dude, your question is wrong. All right.
No,
the way that you're framing this argument.
How else do you understand nature
this is just
and reality?
rhetoric, dude. This is just rhetoric. This is just rhetoric.
We're done. I'm not fucking with you anymore. You are absolutely fucking out of my life. Fucking dumb. Fucking dumb. You have
Your bias, your implicit fucking bias is so asinine. That was insanity. I can't believe I let that conversation go on that long. Fucking ridiculous. I am a sucker for arguing with stupidity. I really am. I am a fucking sucker for this goddamn shit. Science is the method we use to understand nature and reality. When somebody invents a better way to do that, then we will move in that direction. Until then, science is it. The poetry method. Oh, look, I love poetry. Poetry is an amazing art form, but that's all it is, a fucking art form. It cannot tell you what gravity does or how gravity behaves. It cannot tell you how fast light travels through space. It cannot tell you how many cc's of what drug you might need to go to sleep for a surgery to save your fucking life. Absolutely asinine fucking conversation. I need a cigarette. Fuck that shit. Really, really fucking irritating. Right now, I'm having I'm having a mental fantasy that he actually called into the atheist experience and tried to have that conversation with Matt Dillahunty. Yes, exactly. Poetry is expression, which is entirely subjective. When you read a piece of poetry, it's going to mean something different to me than it would mean to somebody else. But science doesn't work that way. Science is a way for all of us equally to understand how nature behaves. Oh my God. Anyway, moving on to another guest request, we have Drix.
Can you hear me well?
Hey, how's it going?
Can I just say, like, holy crap, you are so patient in a way with some of the people that I just like listen to you talk to. Like,
But I get mad at these people. And, I mean, I try to be patient with them as long as I can. But if you look at people in the
yo,
comments section, why don't you let him speak, let him talk? And I'm like, I'm being as
oh,
patient. I'm being more patient than I should be with some of these people.
yeah. Um, I have like, okay, so for one, like, why, I want to know why the scientific method has become like such a like, ooh, questionable thing to these people. Like, I,
Because
when did it?
because I think to some degree we're dealing with the human condition, right? We
Mm,
question authority all the time. Like that's what we do. We are always questioning and challenging authority. And science is like the best authority when it comes to understanding, like I said earlier, the reality of nature and the nature of reality. And people want to believe in magic.
oh, okay, so speaking of magic, like I feel like there's this odd like bastardization of what people think magic is compared to like what people called what was called magic like back in the day. Like I read this book.
Yeah, it's modern chemistry. It's
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Witches, Midwives, and Nurses is a short read. You can sit down and fucking read the book. And it basically talks about it's kind of like the idea of the monopolization of the medical industry through the church and basically killing people they would call witches. and it was, like for money and like religious purposes, yada yada. And like nowadays, it's like we're having witch hunts for people who are interested in science and like believe in that. And it's kind of, it's so weird. It's fucking 2022 now, man. Like,
Yeah, we still like the thing. Like we still things that boggle my mind are that we have a flat Earth society that actually exists. Like,
yo, yeah.
fucking seriously, our entire global network operates on the idea that we have satellites in orbit in space. And every single time you see one of these flat Earth fuckwits on YouTube try to disprove the round Earth fact, they always end up disproving themselves and then try to fucking wiggle their way out of it with some nonsensical bullshit.
For real. But anyway, I have to leave the house right now. I have a doctor's appointment. But I just wanted to say I appreciate you.
I thank you, and I'm so sorry it took so long to get to you.
No worries, dude.
But I go live a lot, so if you ever have more time and I'm live again, please jump on here and send in a request, and we can definitely have another conversation.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah, man. All right, I'm giving you a follow, and you have a lovely day.
I will follow you back, hun, and you do the same.
Awesome.
and enjoy.
Take it easy, dude. Don't let him hurt you. Don't let him get to you too much, man.
Oh, no. As soon as he's off the channel and I get an opportunity to kind of rant sideways about it, I'm over it. I'm 38, 39 years old. I've learned to just stop giving a fuck about that shit. So.
Oh, well, when did that happen? I'm 33 now, and like still shit's like, oh god.
Oh no, I still get the god. Having to be an adult is a bitch.
Yo, for real. Okay, well,
as far as like other people pissing you off and frustrating you, eventually you'll get to the point where it's like, fuck it, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a good one. Thank you so much
Thank
for.
You so much. I appreciate you.
Hail Satan. Hail yourself.
Hail Satan.
Fuck yeah, spicy atheists up in here. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. It is nice to get the support. I do appreciate the people that come in and, they kind of on the same wavelength with things. Like they understand what I'm talking about. If you believe in God, you have to believe in the devil or there is no religion. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Funny fact about Christianity. There has never in the history of that religion ever been a satanic death cult. That has never existed. But there have been so many Christian death cults. So, that's one way to look at how religion can kind of pretend to be something it isn't. Favorite films? I have a lot of favorite movies, but I don't know that I have any one favorite movie. So are rappers scientists since they are poets? Yeah, according to that one guy, they are, I guess. Well, no, because, right, he said science doesn't exist, so scientists aren't real. So a rapper is just somebody that can describe reality, I guess, according to him. COVID backwards is Divok, which means evil possessions in Hebrew. I don't give a shit. That's irrelevant. I don't really get that guy's argument. Yeah, I didn't really understand it either. That's why I tried so hard to get him to fucking name. It was just a very simple question. If you don't think science is real and you think that there is a better method for understanding nature and reality, then tell me what that method is. And if there's more than one method, then tell me what the methods are. And he couldn't answer the question. And he just... he gave me the bullshit runaround, and it was just so weird. Yeah, everything he uses was built through the evolution of science. The work for understanding gravity, from Isaac Newton to Einstein and the other people that work so hard on gravity, are the ones the reason we have the global network we have today. Why this communication is even possible came from that slow process of evolution of understanding nature and reality through science. Somebody's asking me a question. I missed it. I'm not seeing a question. I didn't see a question. So if you have a question, were you brought up in any faith? Yes, I was brought up in the Christian faith as a Methodist. But nominally so. I wasn't brought up in like fundamental Christian evangelicalism. I was brought up, my mom made us go to church when she was trying to impress her mother, because she had a very spotty relationship with her family. So in order to try to impress her mother, she would take us kids, or make us kids, go to church. Have you ever heard of the DN's method? No, I haven't. Band one, seriously, I'm gonna kick you out or mute you if you don't just knock it off. A theory is the result of the scientific method. I don't know who you are or what you're even talking about. Literally every comment you have made on this live since you got into this room has been literally spot the fuck dead wrong. You hear the Bible was based on the Dead Sea Scrolls. Your thoughts? The Bible, depending on which Bible you're talking about. If you're talking about the Old Testament versus the New Testament, the Old Testament, I don't know a lot about the Dead Sea Scrolls. What I do know about the Old Testament is that it's a direct plagiarism of the Torah, which is the Jewish text. And the Jewish text, the Torah, is largely polytheistic. It's a polytheistic religion. So the Jewish text started with the creator god El Elyon, and he had a wife named Asherah. They had 70 children. Those 70 children represented the 70 tribes of Israel. Their demigods were like Lucifer was a demigod. Yahweh, the Christian God, is a demigod. And there was a few Egyptian gods and a few other gods that were involved in that. And they were known as the Canaanite pantheon. So, and that's the Jewish text, which is later formulated the Old Testament text and then turned into, with the New Testament, modern Christianity. Where did I learn about that stuff, the demigod stuff? So actually, I got some reading material stuff that I found online, but the people who turned me on to this stuff was at Captain Dadpool. If you can go and find Captain Dadpool here on TikTok, he is an actual bachelor's degree in Christian theology. He can read Hebrew and Greek, and he goes into detail with some of these things, especially the life and death of Jesus. The understanding that we don't know who the original authors were for most of the Bible. He disseminates and breaks it all down. It's really good guy to go follow. So at Captain Dadpool. And then there's another guy here on TikTok is at Crimson Barrel, who is not a biblical scholar, but he is somebody who has been absolutely obsessed with the topic and the subject. And he has a wealth of knowledge in regards to biblical text, the anthropology and sociology of the texts themselves. So, I mean, in the same way that, you learned 2 + 2 = 4 from a teacher, I learned about these things from other people who study in the field. Without God, there's no moral authority, is what I believe. Well, that's because there is no moral authority. It doesn't exist. If, and this is a big if there is such a thing as a moral authority, it comes from society. It comes from a group of people who decided that I don't want to be punched in the face, you don't want to be punched in the face, so we're not going to punch each other in the face. If there is a moral authority, that's where it comes from. It comes from a subjective moral understanding. Bring the crystal healer back on? Sorry, my blood pressure's already high enough. And he ran away. Remember that. I didn't kick him. He ran away. I dated a dude with a snake tattoo. He ended up deceiving me. How ironic. That's a little ironic. It's a good joke. Crimson who? Crimson Barrel. Barrel. Crimson Barrel. Can you ask where I got my morals? I get my morals from a rational understanding of consequence, not from an assertion of authority. I have the right to swing my fist, but that right stops at the edge of your nose, and I cannot impose my will upon you. Yes, I have heard Ray Comfort's arguments about literally a lot of things, and he is a goddamn idiot. Oh, you see this banana? This banana was made by God. It fits perfectly in your hand. Which is bullshit, because yellow bananas are genetically modified organisms. Bananas that you find in nature are not edible. We genetically modified bananas to make them edible. That man's fucking retarded. You need more guests to chirp? I'm trying, Soprano, man. I'm trying. I only got 84 people in here. I must have bored the shit out of a bunch of them. No, I am not mad at God. I don't believe in a God. What a part of that is so hard for you to understand. I am not convinced that God claims are true. I can't hate something I don't believe in. I think he's scared of all the Christians out here. Oh yeah, fucking terrified, man. I'm shaking in my fucking socks. It's hilarious watching videos of those evangelical Christians who mumble in tongues. I think it's tragic, man. I mean, to some part, yeah, it's entertaining. But I mean, what you're really witnessing that there is like emotional and mental manipulation. And to some degree, I would say, mental illness. Ethan, do you have COVID? Not right now, I don't. I did have COVID. I got it over Thanksgiving. Thanks to, I went over to a friend's place because I live in Arizona and all my family lives in Minnesota. So I went to a friend's house for Thanksgiving, and apparently half of his in-laws are QAnon conspiracy theory fuckwit nut jobs who didn't get vaccinated and then did get COVID, but didn't tell anybody that they were sick with COVID. So I ended up getting COVID over Thanksgiving. Thankfully, I am vaccinated, so COVID didn't fucking kill me. How did COVID feel? It hurt. I'm going to be honest, man. Like, I've had bronchitis and pneumonia at the same time, and it was worse than that. It fucking sucked. Like, for real. Luckily, I didn't need to be hospitalized, but it fucking sucked. Jesus Christ, I wouldn't want to do it again. You have to have 1,000 followers to go live. Well, and that's the thing with the vaccine. It's not there to stop you from contracting it. It's just there to train your body how to handle it when you get it. What did you do for OT, bro? What do you mean OT? I don't know what you mean. I had COVID without the vaccine. I didn't die. Well, you got lucky. That's why I didn't get vaccine. Well, I don't know why. I didn't see your comment. Why didn't you get the vaccine? I'm double vaxxed. I get my booster shot in March, I think. I mean, it is 6:30 in the morning. I'm not expecting this live. This live actually went a lot better than I thought it was going to. That's why you didn't get it. What do you mean? Why didn't you get it? I didn't see why you didn't get. Why didn't you get it? Why didn't you get the vaccine? Did you ever believe in God at any point? Yes, I did. Like I said earlier, I grew up in the church. I grew up in a Methodist religion, the Methodist. I grew up a Methodist. So yes, at one point I did believe in God. Do you have a lot of faith in government? Just asking. Yeah, yes and no. My problems with government are I didn't get the vaccine because people still get COVID with the vaccine. Yes, but the fucking vaccine prevents you from needing to be hospitalized. You can still, no vaccine is ever, it's not a fucking cure, man. That's not what a vaccine is. It's literally to train your body to handle the virus in the event that you get the virus. It is not a cure. It is not even prevention. It is literally that reason. And thanks to people like you who didn't get vaccinated, we have Omicron and Delta Plus and Delta and all these other variants that are coming out because somebody like you got COVID. The goddamn virus mutated into a different virus inside of that person's body. And, now we're chasing the fucking tail. And thanks to that, now we have almost 1 million people in the United States alone. We're at 800 and some thousand dead people in the United States because people didn't get vaccinated. So, I mean, go get the fucking vaccine. It's not going to hurt you. I am immunocompromised on dialysis with kidney failure, and the vaccine did not hurt me. As far as faith in government, people have a huge misconception here. They think the government is its own entity. It's not. The American government is made up of American citizens who went to public school, who went to university here in America. They are American citizens. So if you look at the government and all you see is corruption, that's because America is corrupted. You still get the flu even with vaccine, but it helps prevent plague and death. Yeah, it helps prevent the flu from becoming something that we can't manage or handle. The unvaxxed people are the ones that are dying right now. Those are the ones that are in the hospital dying. Unvaccinated people are the ones that are in the hospital dying. Science works, folks. Science works. We almost wiped out polio and smallpox using vaccines. Don't tell me vaccines don't work. Even if you got COVID while you were unvaxxed and you had mild symptoms, how do you know you didn't give it to somebody else? You want to be responsible for the death of other people? I don't. I don't want to know. I don't want to try to go to sleep at night knowing that I could have given COVID to somebody else and killed that person. That would break my fucking heart. Knowing that I could be responsible for the death of another human being, I couldn't know. That's not okay. Or several someone else's, right? Like you might have passed it on to one person, you might have passed it on to 15 people. So, user, the answer to that is everybody get vaccinated, right? Like that's the answer. Everybody who can get vaccinated should get vaccinated. That way, you can't pass it on to somebody else. That's why the experts, like at the CDC, wanted an 80% vaccination rate. Because once we reach an estimated 80% vaccination rate, you have achieved, essentially, herd immunity. And once you've achieved herd immunity, we're good. At most, we would need a booster every few years or some goofy shit. Oh. Yeah, the CDC walked back on so many claims that they made 2 years ago. Because, look, COVID hit us fast and it hit us rapid, and we didn't have a lot of time to figure out how to handle it. A lot of the guesses, the estimated educated guesses the CDC was making was based on previous data from other viruses we had handled in the past. But COVID turned out to be something totally different from what we've dealt with in the past. Science does the best it can with the information it has available. And the information will change. Well, what the CDC is going to do will change over time based on the information they have available. And even then, it's not a perfect fucking system. There's no such thing as a perfect fucking system. We do the best we can with what we have. And people expecting perfection from the CDC or from the government is just a really bad idea. If you're setting your standards up here, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, I'm not saying drop your standards to the basement, but I mean, a little bit of moderation in thought means put your standards right about middle. Disagree with some things with you, but I enjoy listening to your lives. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Science encourages further inquiry. If more information comes to light, we act on it. Yeah, that's exactly how science works. How do you maintain friendships, relationships with people who have strong religious beliefs? You just don't talk about it. Really. I only have like 4 friends in the Phoenix area, and they're all married. Kevin, his wife, Ben, his wife, and that's literally it. That's all I have for friends in this city. And Kevin and Ben are atheists. So, I mean, I won't date somebody that's religious. I am now 39 years old. I have been married and divorced. My last relationship was an utter fucking nightmare. I have been single for 2 years. And I have rattled around in my head what I want from a partner in the future. And I will not date a a religious person. I will not date a person of faith. I will not date somebody that believes in astrology. I will not date somebody that believes in tarot cards or crystal healing bullshit. I'm not going to do it because it'll just end up being a fight, and I don't want to be with somebody that I'm going to fight with. It's not, oh God, it's oh science. Yeah, that would be awesome. Like, we're in the middle of just going at it, and all of a sudden she just rattles off the theory of relativity. Oh my God. Oh my science. Oh my science. What the fuck? Hot. Give me equations, baby. Spank my gluteus maximus. Wait, let's do that. We can do that better. Not spank my gluteus maximus. Apply instant pressure at a varying speed to my gluteus maximus. I get along with everybody. I'm a friendly guy. Apply friction now. My ethnic heritage. I am Irish. That'd be an interesting moment. I don't know. I don't know honestly how I would respond to something like that. I'd probably start laughing. Yeah, I'm Irish. That is my national, or my heritage. My heritage is Irish. What do you say to somebody who's lost in this world and doesn't know what's true? Stop trying so hard. When I move to South Africa, we should meet? Oh, I'm not moving to South Africa. I have a hard enough time handling the corruption in the United States. I don't know what the fuck I would do in South Africa. I've talked to quite a few people from South Africa. I've even been friends on social media with a few. And yeah, they don't have a lot of positive to say about it other than that it's their home. Oh, we have a guest request. Let's see what's up. Perry.
How you doing?
How's it going?
I'm pretty good. I'm not going to contest you on your rationality. Your rationality is right, but that's not my reason for calling. My question is kind of more. What year is it?
2022.
Okay, that's an irrational answer. Have you ever considered that? Like, that's the thing. Sure, all this other stuff about God, it's easy to shoot him down because there's just obviously no proof. It looks ridiculous on its face. The moral God is an absurd concept. All of it is absurd. But then you didn't give the Muslim answer for what year it is. You didn't give the Jewish answer for what year it is. You didn't give the North Korean answer, which is secular, for what year it is. You gave the Christian answer. How do you feel about that? No, I mean, honestly.
Dude, Muslims follow a 7-day week, 365-day year. China, every single nation on the planet follows the 7-day Gregorian calendar. It has nothing to do with the Christian God. First off, the 7-day calendar is completely fucking arbitrary.
Okay, so why do you agree to it? It's not rational. It's not rational. You're a rational thinker. Why would you say it?
I've read the history on how we got to the 7-day calendar. And we went through probably like 16-ish different calendars before we even settled on the Gregorian calendar. So you're off base, man.
I know that's
And
true.
besides,
That's not the point.
besides that,
so none of them are rational.
that,
So why do you agree to any of them?
Besides that, I don't have any other reference. I grew up in a culture that is largely Christian. I grew up in a culture that uses the 7-day Gregorian calendar. I don't have a fucking choice. This is the way I was taught to understand calendar.
Okay, well, you say it so assertively and you're very aggressive with it, but chill it out for a second, because North Korea and the Soviets actually asked this question. When they were forming communism, they're like, hey, we don't want to use the Gregorian calendar anymore because we're a-religious. And so North Korea has come up with the Juche calendar, which is vaguely based on the Gregorian. And, I mean, so this is a question, and you laugh in its face, but why do you agree to an arbitrary number if you're such a rational thinker? Why do you do that?
Why would I change it?
Because it's untrue. Aren't you a proponent of truth?
Well, what is the true calendar then? If the Gregorian calendar is wrong, what's the true calendar?
Well, this is where we have a space for the irrational in the rational. It's obviously irrational, and you don't contest it. But if you want to be absolutely rational, you would have to be required to contest this at every step. And that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
I just asked you a question. What's the question? Correct? If the Gregorian calendar is wrong, what is the correct calendar?
Oh, no, I'm not contesting the Gregorian calendar because I actually like Jesus.
If you're not contesting it, then why the fuck should I?
Because you don't believe in Jesus.
That has nothing to do with Jesus.
Actually has absolutely everything, because every single one of them is attached to a religious social circumstance. And if you don't agree to any of these religions, which you've contested at every point, you've said they're stupid, they're irrational, they're dumb, the gods just suck, why would you accept their structure of time on any level? And the communists actually did this. They did contest the calendars.
I don't give a fuck what communists did.
Well, the point is to say that it is rational to question the religious substrate of temporal existence.
Not
As
really.
a rational thinker, it would be. Why isn't it?
It's not a matter of rational or irrational. This is just the way our culture developed. This is just the way our culture developed over time.
Okay, but so it's still based on faith. It's still based on a religious structure.
And honestly, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. If the rest of the United States uses the Gregorian calendar and I decide to challenge that because I don't want to live under whatever fucking church bullshit, then I'm just
you're living under church bullshit for what year it is. That's church bullshit.
I'm swimming uphill. I'm just
everyone's living under church. As nobody sees it. All the people say I'm insane, but it's true.
Shut the absolute fuck up and listen to me. I have to go with what is common. Inventing a new fucking calendar would just make life a bitch for me.
But it's false. Or you should be fighting. If you're gonna fight for rationality, do it on every level.
Okay, so you think the calendar justifies a belief in Jesus?
You're a fucking fake ass little bitch idiot. Run away, fucker. Run away. Run away. Run away. What the fuck kind of stupid ass argument was that? He had no argument. That's why he ran away. He just made up a bunch of arbitrary bullshit. Weak sauce. But that's what I expect. That's what I expect. This is what I expect from theologians. I expect weak-ass, sorry bitch arguments. That's what I expect from people. Now, that's nothing to say anything about them as a person. I don't hate them. I don't despise them. I just fundamentally disagree with their nonsense. He didn't win. There was no argument, Parker. There was no fucking argument to win. He's back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I didn't run away. I have to drive a truck. But you're Jesus' bitch, and so is everyone who says it's 2022. You were his bitch because you can't contest it. You can't organize a society to contest it, so you have to bitch out to it. That's what's ridiculous. And you don't even see it. All of you laughing at me. Well, get over it. Try and do what the communists did. Make a new calendar, because otherwise you're on his clock. And that's the problem. That's the fucking problem. You're on his clock, man. All of us are on his clock. We're all on his clock, unfortunately, on a pragmatic level. You didn't answer the Muslim answer. You didn't answer the Hindu answer. You answered the Christian answer. And that must piss the living fuck out of you.
Not really.
That must piss the living fuck out of you, like a little toad. You can't say, you can say it's the year 39 and base it on yourself. You can say it's the Juche calendar year. You could, but you didn't. But you never questioned it because you're not actually a rational thinker. You're just angry at other people. You're not a rational thinker. You're just angry at other people.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's it. You can't take it. No,
Yeah, I
man,
can.
that's okay. Don't worry. It's not 2022, though. You got to fight that. You as a rational, because otherwise you're agreeing to a whole system of religion that is absolute trash by your definition. What?
Do you believe in Thor? Do you believe in Thor?
I believe in Thor's Day. I believe in the power of belief. I believe in a
Do you
great
believe
Christian
in
reality.
Thor, the god
It's not
of
about
lightning?
me, buddy.
Do
You're the
you
one who has to
believe in
question
Thor?
calendars. I
Do
agree
you
to the
believe in
irrational.
Thor?
I agree
Do
to
you
the
believe in
irrational. You
Thor?
don't.
Do you believe in Thor?
Do you believe in Thursday, Freak's Day, Odin's, Saturn's Day? You can go all the way through with it. All irrational. Time is irrational. You don't have a better answer, but you're not questioning a place where a rational answer would matter. You're only attacking other people and their irrationality. It's the fucking, all you're doing is beating on people for having faith. Yeah, man, whatever. Fuck you, bro. You suck.
Yeah, I'm okay. You can
run away again like a little bitch. All you did was get on my live, scream at the top of your fucking lungs, think you made a valid point, and you didn't. You literally said nothing. It was a complete dog shit argument. And you think you had some kind of impact on me? You think you had an effect on me? I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about your position. I don't care. Having a 7-day fucking calendar is not a Christian thing. That's just the way society turned out. It has nothing to do with religion. Fucking dweeb. You had literally no effect on me. I'm not angry about it. I don't care. And yeah, I'm going to beat up people for their fucking faith because their fucking faith is fucking bullshit. Especially when they use it as a weapon against other groups of people. And you can jump on my live and you can sit here and scream and holler and bitch and moan, but you were standing alone by yourself in that argument. Literally nobody in the comment section agreed with anything you had to fucking say. So, stay angry, stay mad, have the fucking day you deserve. He was big mad. He had his panties in a fucking twist. He started off immediately pissed. Maybe we should make our own timeline? I'm not against it. Well, and I think he had this idea that communists are atheists. They're a secular society, which is not true. North Korea, that is not a secular society. North Korea is an authoritative dictatorship where the leader is seen as a god. That's not a secular society. And Stalin communism wasn't secular either, because Stalin was seen as the head of the church. So he's off on whatever bullshit. You know what? Parker, you're done. Yeah, you can just not talk. We can do that. Bye. If you're gonna sit in my fucking comments, if you're gonna sit in the comments, I don't like muting people. I hate doing it. But if your whole thing is to just sit in the comments and talk shit, I don't want to hear it. Actually, let's do the research. Let's look it up. Because I know I've read about it and I've listened, I've heard about it. But I don't remember a lot. But, I mean, if you wanted to follow his logic, then he must believe in Thor and Freya and Odin and all the days of the week, right? Like, he's supposedly, I think, a Christian, and he's yet forced to use days of the week that are not Christian, that are old Greek gods. So, by his logic, he is both a Christian and believes in the old gods. Like, I mean, I don't know what he was trying to get at, man. I think he was just talking shit because he's pissed off that I don't believe what he believes. Whatever. The Gregorian calendar was adopted by much of Catholic Europe in 1582 as directed by Pope Gregory, whatever, in papal bull Inter Gravissimas, which was published in February of that year. It proclaimed that 1852 by Pope Gregory, whatever, as a reform of the Julian calendar. I knew there was more than one calendar. Dated after the calendar's name, the motivation of the adjustment was to bring the date for the celebration of Easter to the time of year in which it was celebrated when it was introduced by the early church. Yeah. The Gregorian calendar is irrelevant. I use the system because it's the system I was born into. I could care less. Anyway, I'm done with that piece of shit. Moving on to a different topic and subject, because that absolute waste of space is an absolute waste of my time. Yeah, Erica, that was pretty fucking entertaining. I mean, I've heard some doozies, but that was a good one. Not y'all telling me to leave because I don't agree. I don't care if you stick around. Stick around. We like talking to people. And time does exist. He said that time was arbitrary and it didn't exist. And I'm sorry, but yes, time does exist. It's called space-time. The fabric of reality is space-time. And space-time is warped by gravity. So space-time exists, and it's not arbitrary. I'm asking questions, commenters being rude. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, don't be rude. What questions are you asking? I'm sorry, I haven't been paying attention. What is the most ridiculous argument for God that someone has made to you? That's a really good question, actually. Well, honestly, I think the most frustrating one. I don't know that I have a ridiculous one, but I do have a frustrating one. That God must exist because otherwise nothing else could exist. So, because there is order, or what they perceive as order in nature, what they perceive as fine tuning, there must be a God. I mean, it's always the presupposition, I think, is probably the most irritating argument that I get. It's the presupposition, it's the assumption that there must be a God that started everything. When, again, that's just an assumption. There's no evidence to support that claim. Yeah, the funniest one. It's like I'm sitting here going live, and sometimes I will get people in the comments that tell me I look like Jesus, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Jesus wasn't a white man with long hair. I don't look like Jesus. There is a God wouldn't. So long as it doesn't affect others, that's physically fucking impossible unless you literally live in the middle of nowhere and never interact with people ever. And seeing as how you're in my live, you interact with people. We do not live in a vacuum. We live in a society, and your beliefs inform your actions, and your actions have consequences. You don't live in a vacuum. The things that you do and the things that you say have an impact on other people, even if you don't want them to. What did I do with my cigarettes? Oh, never mind. Dumb. Yeah, I didn't catch the beginning of what he was saying. He muted him. Sorry. Let me unblock. I accidentally put my thumb or my finger over the mic. I'm going to repeat it. We don't live in a vacuum. Your beliefs inform your actions, and your actions have consequences. Scott, I will answer your question in just a second. So you are always going to have an impact on people. Always. Unless you're just completely antisocial. That's the only way you can not have an impact on others. How did I walk away from Christianity? How did I walk away from religion? I sat down and I read the Bible. That's what turned me into an atheist. As a matter of fact, that is the most common way to become an atheist. Sit down, read the Bible, word for word, page for page, cover to cover. That is the most common way that people become an atheist. The second most common is people will sit down and they will try to find a reason for the beliefs they have. They will try to find reasons to justify the beliefs they have. And some people, using critical thinking skills, will understand and realize that they do not have good reasons for believing the things they believe. But atheism isn't something that just kind of magically happens. It's not like there's this gotcha moment. It's a gradual thing for almost everybody. It's something that takes years of deconstruction, years of, considering your beliefs and trying to understand why you have them and all that stuff. It takes a long time. Most atheists, it takes years for them to deconstruct. Thoughts on the historical validity of Jesus as an actual person? So I have read Bart Ehrman. I have watched Bart Ehrman. And while he is convinced that there may have been a man, probably a crazy Hasidic Jew running around screaming crazy shit, I'm not convinced of that. As far as I'm concerned, the only real information about anybody named Jesus is directly from the Bible. And the Bible, honestly, is not a reliable source. Could there have been a crazy Hasidic Jew running around talking shit? Sure. Was he the son of God? Probably not. You were a Mormon? How long did your deconstruction from Mormonism take? How long did it take you to deconstruct from the Mormon faith? Well, Mormonism is a cult. That's like the key aspect of every cult is that they try to stay insular. They do not let outside influences into their faith. That way they can control all of the aspects of your life. The information, your clothes, all that stuff. I left at 30, it took about 4 years to really let go. Well, I'm proud of you, man, because coming out of that stuff isn't easy. Be careful smoking on lives. Hosts don't care, but you can get banned. I've never been banned for smoking. I have been banned for other shit, but not smoking. You know, so I didn't come out of a cult. I didn't come out of evangelical Christianity or any kind of religious extremism. I didn't come out of anything that hardcore. So I can't really associate with it, but I do understand it to some degree. I understand it as best as I can. And I've read a lot of deconstruction stories from Jehovah's Witnesses, from Mormons, and I feel bad. One of my favorite podcasts is actually called Was I in a Cult? It is a fantastic podcast that kind of gives you insight into what people go through when they deconstruct from those types of social pressures. How you deconstructed your own childhood beliefs. Well, like I said, when I was 14 years old, I sat down and I read the Bible. And I almost immediately called bullshit. It wasn't hard for me to walk away from religion. I wasn't heavily indoctrinated into it. Like I said, my childhood was nominally religious. We only went to church when my mom was trying to kiss her mom's ass, like she was trying to impress my grandmother. So my deconstruction was relatively painless. But I didn't just drop belief in the supernatural immediately. I may have dropped belief in Christianity, but for a long time I dabbled in paganism and Wicca and all kinds of goofy shit. The Ouija board stuff, mysticism, all that stuff. I dabbled into a lot of things. Pretty rough. I'm great now, though. That's good, brother. That's really good. I am actually genuinely happy for you. Why is it sad for me to believe something? What I eat shouldn't make you shit. Why is it sad that you believe in untrue things? Because as I said earlier, your beliefs are not yours alone. What you believe impacts your decisions. Your beliefs inform your actions. Your actions have consequences. And honestly, aside from even that, the religious worldview is a very narrow one. The end game for Christianity, for a Christian in the Christian faith, the end game is that they are going to be in heaven for all of eternity, knowing that people they love or cared about or people they didn't even know are going to be punished for eternity for a finite crime. Now, personally, I could never sit in a place like heaven knowing that other people are being tormented. I couldn't do it. My moral and my ethical compass, I would be miserable. As long as you force no one, people should believe what brings them comfort. There's a minor problem with that. The problem with it is that religion doesn't leave people alone. It doesn't. As far as the Abrahamic religions, we can go Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They don't leave people alone. Right now, the U.S. Supreme Court is in the process of gutting Roe v. Wade. This is a religious-inspired movement. And it's a religious-inspired movement that is going against the grain of the American people. More than 60% of Americans are in favor of Roe versus Wade. They are in favor of healthy access to abortion. The only reason it's about to be gutted is because of Christian authoritarianism. The consequences of gutting Roe v. Wade are going to be felt by everybody, including people who are not Christian. Why not have faith and acknowledge science as a fact? Because they contradict each other. That's why. Science disproves Christianity or claims made by the Christian religion. And faith is not a pathway to truth. You have person A and you have person B. Person A has faith in their God and person B has faith in their God. Can you use faith to determine which is the true God? No, of course you can't. Faith and science cannot coexist in the same space. They cannot do it. I was watching live a few days ago and you mentioned you feel morality comes from social norms. Do you believe in a conscience? Yes, but a conscience is separate. It's a totally separate deal. Conscience is your brain is deterministic, okay? So there is soft determinism and there is hard determinism. Under the model for soft determinism, well, let's just deal with determinism in and of itself. Determinism is the idea that we are not conscious of the decisions that our brain makes. Your brain does a lot of things. It regulates your heart rate, your blood pressure, your body temperature. It does a lot of things you aren't aware of. But it also is separated between conscious and unconscious mind. Determinism says that the unconscious mind has already predetermined every decision you're going to make before you are consciously aware of it and before you make the decision itself. Now, you can debate between soft determinism and hard determinism. So soft determinism would say that you have some influence on what decision your brain is going to make. Hard determinism is that you have no choice, no influence on what your brain is going to determine to make as far as the decision. And this slides into everything. Your personality, you didn't choose any aspect of your personality. Your personality is largely genetic. You have a genetic predisposition in regards to your personality. The formative years of your life, when you are young, very young, and you are learning about your environment and the things around you. And any trauma, whether that be emotional or physical, that you suffer in life can ultimately alter your personality. You consciously have no choice in what your person, who you are as a person, what your personality is. And so this is part of determinism. The food you like, you didn't choose it. You just liked that food. The food you didn't like, again, you didn't choose it. You just don't like it. It doesn't taste good to you. But that changes too. Your taste buds can change on average every 7 years. So that's your kind of body. That's your brain and your body, your genetic self altering without your say-so, without your okay, without your input. So conscience, that's a hard one. I don't really know how, I don't know that we understand enough about the brain to understand the difference between consciousness and a conscience. Did you know not everyone has a voice in their head? Why is that? Yes, I do know that not everybody has a voice in their head. Only about, I think, 20% of people studied hear a voice in their head. I actually hear a voice in my head. And he never shuts the fuck up. I argue with myself. I argue with the voice in my head. We get into fights all the fucking time. I can't stand that son of a bitch. I wish he'd go the fuck away because he never shuts the fuck up. I hate the voice in my head. I fucking hate him. But at the same time, I love him to death. Because I have that voice in my head and because we argue with each other, I get a lot of introspection. I get to consider issues from multiple angles. And it's a love-hate relationship because he is a lot of the time that voice in my head is a pain in my fucking ass. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about intuition, but I think intuition is something that comes with experience. It's not something that's just granted. Filled with cigs and Red Bull. Hey, Rainbow, how's it going? Again, I disagree. Well, what do you disagree with? What do you disagree about? Voice in head is just thoughts. Not really. No. People have thoughts. Everybody has thoughts. What I experience is different from that. First time here, but I have seen you many times scrolling through TikTok. Oh, well, I hope I'm leaving a positive impact on you. I believe you are granted that at birth. Granted what at birth? What are we granted at birth? You are like the dad I never had. Oh, please don't consider me your dad. Intuition? No, we are not granted intuition at birth. It comes with experience. Intuition, gut feeling, that stuff is, you gain experience, and that's how you gain intuition. You can't have intuition about something if you have no experience with that something. I mean, that's just basic psychology. Touching the stove? Do you know how I learned not to touch the stove? I touched a fucking stove. I burnt my fucking hand. That's how I learned not to touch a stove. I don't believe in past lives. I have no evidence to support the existence that we had past lives. You don't know things you weren't taught. Yes, you don't know things you weren't taught. Prejudice, bias are taught. Religion is taught. See, being an atheist is the neutral position. I'm not the opposite of a Christian. The opposite of a Christian would be an anti-theist. I'm an atheist. I am the neutral position. I do not know if there is a God, but I am not convinced that there is a God. So I just remain neutral until there's evidence one way or the other. Everybody is born an atheist. Everybody is, you learn how to have a prejudice. Racism isn't something you're born with. Misogyny or sexism isn't something you're born with. Isn't Satanism anti-theist though? No, Satanism is not anti-theism. It has nothing to do with that. But you hail Satan. I am a member of the Satanic Temple. We are a non-theistic religion. We do not believe in a literal Satan. We do not worship a literal Satan. It is purely metaphor and symbolism. That's it. You can have a natural inclination towards being good at something. I had a natural inclination at bowling. I'm relatively good at it. I had a natural inclination at playing pool, billiards, something I'm kind of good at. I'm actually pretty good at billiards. I never heard everyone was born an atheist, but it makes sense. Okay. Definitely anti-theism. I think that we're born with natural proclivities, natural abilities. We are good at some things and bad at other things. You might be born with a natural proclivity towards mathematics, but that's not an intuition. You still have to learn the basics of mathematics to understand mathematics. I'm referring to what is only taught to most. I don't understand. People are born with undeveloped bones. If they were born religious, I'm concerned. Agnostic. Okay, so like I'm an agnostic atheist. I should rephrase it and be more specific. I am an agnostic atheist. Agnosticism. An agnostic person says, I do not know if there is or is not a God. That's the agnostic position. The atheist position is, I am not convinced that any God claims are true due to insufficient evidence. So I am an agnostic atheist in that I do not know if there is a God, but I am not convinced that there is a God due to insufficient evidence. Correct, explorer. That is the correct. Agnosticism is about knowledge. Atheism and theism is about belief. No, we do not know there isn't a God. That's okay. There is something in science called the burden of proof. If I sit here and I make a positive claim about something, then I am responsible for the burden of proof. If I say that there is a pink and purple polka dotted unicorn in my bathroom, then I am responsible for providing evidence of that claim. If somebody says there is no God, they are making a positive claim about something and they need to be able to meet the burden of proof for that claim. That is why atheists refrain from saying there is no God, because then we would have to be able to prove that claim. But saying God exists is like saying the flying spaghetti monster exists. Yeah. saying that a God exists is an outrageous claim, and it requires outrageous evidence. So only one of the problems I have with any religious worldview or ideology is that it attempts to deal in absolutes. I avoid absolutes. As an atheist and an agnostic, I avoid absolutes. Where Christianity would specifically be an absolute thing. So like, for instance, I've been in conversations with Christians and they would ask me, if tomorrow God was proven to be absolutely true, would you believe in God? My answer is always yes. If tomorrow there is absolute evidence of a God, I will believe in that God. But when I flip the question, when I ask a Christian, if there was absolute evidence tomorrow that there is no God, would you stop believing in a God? They always answer no. That they will continue to believe regardless of whether or not there's evidence. Their worldview is I just had the word in my head. Fuck, I just said the word like a bunch of times. Their worldview is built on an absolute. There's absolute good. There's absolute evil. There's absolutely a God, no matter what the evidence says. A theist's worldview is built on absolutes. My worldview is built on nuance, not absolutes. Fucking face always fucking itches. Fucking facial hair. My roommate has it colder than fuck in this apartment right now. And I don't fuck with the thermostat because I just don't want to argue with it. No, I am not shaving my face. Absolutely not. No fucking way. Never the fuck again. I am never ever shaving my face ever again. Yeah, I do try to use beard oil, but I often forget to put it in. Yeah, if I shave, I look awful. That's just not a good idea. I do have beard soap, but I have to dig it out. I have it stored away. I look gross. I am not an attractive man with a clean face, man. Absolutely not. I use it on occasion. It's in my medicine cabinet. But it's just about my bedtime here, folks. I usually get to sleep about, I don't know, 9 o'clock-ish, 10 o'clock-ish, but I'm starting to feel tired. We like you as you are, don't shave. I promise I will not shave. You have a nice day. Beard is working for you. Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I think this is the longest I've stayed in alive. Thanks to this. Same, I sleep around this time. Thanks for your knowledge. Yes. I will probably go live again sometime today. It is Thursday today, so I don't go to work until 3 o'clock in the afternoon typically, so I will probably go get some sleep. And then when I wake up, I'll probably jump back up. I'll probably jump back on and go live until 3 o'clock or so. That's about the time I go to work every day. So Thank you guys so much. You have been a lot of fucking fun tonight. I didn't expect this live to go the direction it went. And at the very minimum, if it was anything else, it was definitely entertaining for me. So, yes, I do have this up here, my Venmo and my Cash App, because even though I do work, being on dialysis makes things a constant struggle. So I'm trying to get caught up, and $1, $2, $5, everything helps. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful morning, and I will see you later this morning. Take it easy, guys. Appreciate you.